Okay, I think we're live. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is kind of an impromptu video. We're not too sure. We had a big list from all suggestions, and we totally forgot that Just Right was on them. And he had a review of The Rise of Skywalker, which I only watched halfway through months ago. And it took Dunn to remind me, oh yeah, he did that. We never covered it before. So what a good opportunity. Well, it's raining again in Toronto. I don't know. Every day it's been raining really badly. So if I cut out, I do apologize. The weather is not ideal. But here, hoping we can all tune in and watch a good half hour of Just Right ramble on about why he dislikes The Last Jedi. Sorry, I mean The Rise of Skywalker. Because, of course, he loves The Last Jedi.
What's the difference?
That's a good question. They're both crap, but different kinds of crap for different reasons. But not according to Just Right. Just Right absolutely loves The Last Jedi. So, yeah, that's just how it goes. In the world of Just Right in Star Wars is a very tangled story. We don't know how it works in his head. But that's what we're going to find out. That's what we're going to learn about, because he is a critic extraordinaire. He knows his stuff. And we're going to hopefully figure it out. Everyone's saying hello in the chat. Hello in the chat. We have Dunn here. We have Shiny, in case you haven't noticed or know these people. Shiny just finished one of his animation videos on his channel. Go check it out. And I think Dunn has just came from chatting up a storm past few hours, and now he came to Smudcast. So thanks for coming on, Dunn. Okay, you guys ready? You guys in the watch together? You're all good?
Yeah, I'm in the watch together.
Alrighty, let's get going.
And there are two major reasons why. So Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is very much not for me. And there are two major reasons why.
Not bad.
It's not for me because it suffers all of the problems I usually have with films directed by J.J. Abrams. Mm-hmm. And it's not for me as the conclusion of an ongoing story, specifically as a sequel to The Last Jedi. This is going to be a spoiler-heavy video, so fair warning about that. And if you disagree with me, that's cool, as long as you don't harass anyone about it. So let's get started with part one.
I'm going to go harass people online about Just Right's opinion. That doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Well, you know what? I won't harass people online. I've never harassed people online. It won't be an issue for me.
With the topic of Just Right, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Just Right's barometer of quality is weird. Like, it just seems to be basically, this thing has a good message. Doesn't matter if this message is badly handled. It's a good progressive message. That seems to be his barometer. That's why he doesn't like Game of Thrones. That's why he doesn't like Ready Player One.
Wait, there's a message in Game of Thrones?
The messages that he gets out of it are women are too emotional for power, that redemption doesn't mean anything, and that believing in nothing means that you get to be king.
Oh, in regards to the last season of Game of Thrones. Okay, because there's lots of things happening in Game of Thrones. So, I mean, I liked what I watched. I just haven't watched enough of the shows to care. And from what I've heard, it's not worth my time. So I'm like, all right, great. Fine by me.
Oh, no, it's not. It's just an interesting to kind of compare his reviews of The Last Jedi versus Game of Thrones and Season 8 and Rise of Skywalker. They feel like they were made by different people with different barometers of quality, because Last Jedi suffers from the exact same problems. Those other two.
Very interesting. Okay. That's kind of why we're doing this, because we know he loves The Last Jedi, and we know he doesn't like The Rise of Skywalker. So we're like, what's going on here? Why is that? Let's find out. Oh, here's John Lemley. Thank you, sir. Just Right says, it's not for him. This is as great an advertisement for The Rise of Skywalker as I've ever seen. Well...
The problem is that people don't watch a video when you're reviewing something to say, well, it's not for me. They come to the video that's reviewing something, often to listen about how it's of quality or how it's not of quality. To listen to what your thoughts are on its quality and not whether it is for you or isn't for you.
Right. We usually say, or I would usually say something like, it's not my cup of tea, but I can understand why other people would enjoy it, because there is some element of quality there to be had. But you may not like that flavor. You may not like that style.
Yeah, that is separate from talking about the actual quality of the film.
If there is even any quality to be had, yes.
Well, or lack. Well, when I say quality, I mean like quality or lack of quality.
Right, because you can enjoy a lack of quality. It's just, it's a trashy film, or it's a low production budget film, or you could enjoy that. Sure, why not?
But yeah, like a kid in King Arthur's Court and a kid in Aladdin's Palace are hilariously awful.
Right.
Because they're so cheap.
Exactly. And we were watching The Room the other day, and that was its own level of quality, which was supposed to be taken seriously. And it's so bad that it's hilarious. And that's what's beautiful about it. It's just this random, every shot in that movie was like, why is this being done this way? Why does this guy keep falling over? Why is the scene shift that, like, all these weird things that don't add up?
Why are there 7 sex scenes?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
No scenes, just plot. I've never loved a movie directed by J.J. Abrams, which is weird because he's an insanely talented director in a lot of places. He's great with actors, and it shows, and his characters feel human, relatable, likable, charismatic. His signature mystery box style of storytelling is extremely effective at getting an audience hooked into the story quickly. His scenes are always flashy, even when delivering exposition. They've got an engaging energy to them thanks to dynamic camera work. But fun...
And CGI, and lots of CGI. Dynamic camera work? Okay.
Lots of...
Yeah, we could say it's flashy. There's lots of good cuts and transitions. Sure, he just uses a lot of techniques. Does that mean it's good? I don't know. I haven't analyzed the cinematography of JJ before.
I think is a good actor-director, and he's good at picking actors.
There's lots of scenes where, in certain films, the actors are like just doing anything. There's a scene in Force Awakens, for example, where Rey just kind of stares off into nowhere. It kind of seems like the character hasn't been directed in a good way to understand what's happening. There's even scenes where Finn is just playing with sand as he's laying on the ground, and Rey is holding a stick to his face. I wouldn't say that's good character directing and telling the actors what to do.
Flashy scenes are JJ's greatest strength and his greatest weakness. An over-reliance on sequences like the ones we're about to talk about leave little room for anything else. We have very few scenes in J.J. Abrams movies, but way too much plot. And this is a bigger problem in The Rise of Skywalker than it is in any of his...
So again, definition of plot, we don't know exactly what he's talking about. It's different from mine, but I'm assuming...
I think maybe he's referring to things that happen. So there's too many things that happen.
Oh, well, that's not really plot. That's just a succession of events. That's just thing happens, then thing happens, then thing happens. Like, that's... Technically, that's a story. I don't know if that's a plot, but okay. Everyone has a different definition. I wish people would define their literary terms before they start using them. It's so nebulous, to me at least. Lenny the Shark, thank you, sir. Fellas, are you still powdering your balls? Yeah, I know. I just open up my pants and just let the talcum powder just fall in. Wherever it may fall.
I am so glad that ad got caught on stream. That was amazing.
I don't even know how. Like, I don't watch. Are there YouTube videos about male cleanliness? I don't even know. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe they know my demographic or something.
I think that there are. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they just know you're a man of class.
Yeah, I need lots of baby powder on my my nether regions. Here's Jake the Surgeon. Thank you, sir. Hi, Dunn. Thanks for having me on earlier. Well, isn't that great? Hey. Thanks for saying hello, Jake.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah.
I should probably tune into your chat these days. I haven't been online too often to say hello. But it's weird. All this weather is just throwing me off. It's like it's rainy, it's dark, and it becomes sunny again. It's hot, it's humid. It's like, ugh. Anyway, John Lemley, thanks again. But Shiny FX is actually amazing character development. We see Finn play with sand. Anakin hated sand. Also, we see Rey is violent and comfortable with sand. I know, it's all this sand. Like, what do you do in the desert, man? You gotta work with your actors there and the environment properly. Have them go into quicksand. Have them make sandcastles. All the basic stuff you want in an action adventure space opera. All that good stuff. All right, let's keep on going.
Other movies. So much of this film is nothing more than the characters running around and yelling about why they need to go to a place to find a thing. That's plot. In one sense, it's a good way to sneak exposition.
No, that's not plot.
That's not plot. I'm sorry.
He defined what he thinks plot is, but that's not plot.
I wish he would just give us a textbook definition, please. It would be so much easier if he did that. Sadly,
That's just a summary of events or summary of dialogue.
Yeah, you could say a story is just a summary of events too. I mean, you could say lots of things that relate to the linear succession of things that happen in order. You could have chapter 5, then chapter 1. It's still linear. You can still read a book that way, but that's not plot. So anyway, his definition of plot is not mine. It's a little confusing to understand him, but that's just how he came about. Fine. We'll let it slide. It's not a big deal. Edax, thank you, sir.
For reference, how
would I describe plot?
Uh-huh.
Plot is the motivation and goal of the main character or a character. So every character should have a plot. They should have a role that they're trying to fill, and that's trying to achieve a thing. So a subplot works alongside the main plot, which is the main character's plot or the main character's story, and that is either there to help or hinder the main character. So it's like we go on a tangent. Like chapter 2 is now a side character. They have their thing, and it hooks up with the main plot. So it's the reason why they're doing something, the why, and the goal, the thing they want. That's plot to me. Okay, we got some...
And how does that make you feel?
How does it make me feel? It feels like I know what I'm talking about. I wrote a goddamn book about it, okay? I know what I studied, yeah.
I know what you do. I just like hearing your take on plot.
Plot is my favorite term for literary analysis. So I'm very judgmental, but again, I don't mind it when people have different definitions. It's when I hear their explanations that things make sense. So it doesn't matter what word. Like you can say theme is a succession of events. You're like, really? That's what a theme is? Okay. But it's all the terminology and understanding of it that matters, not the word itself, because it's very nebulous. Anyway, let me read some super chats because I'm really slow here. And Edax, here we go. Literally every death that happens after the first game is Joel's fault. Just right, The Last of Us 2 video. The man has long gone insane. Just right. Fantastic. I guess you could argue that's the plot of Joel, and then therefore, because the succession of events, therefore everything happens after that effect is because of Joel. It's like, no, but very weak definition of plot, but okay. John Lemley again. Choose your fighter, plot version, just right, or girlfriend reviews. Oh, girlfriend reviews. My goodness. What was her definition? Did she even have one? I think she had a visual diagram. I don't remember it. And I argued about it online. And I'm quoting all these people, and they're like, no, you're wrong. You didn't learn the words. It's like, I have the book. I'm reading from the pages. What do you want me to do? What more do I need? Oh, you have to go back and read it. Okay, sure. Anyway, that girlfriend reviews. Fantastic YouTuber. She's amazing. Jake the Surgeon. Again, I don't like JJ. He's flashy, bright.
It gets everywhere.
Irritating, and there's nothing of substance anywhere. He has no substance in his films? I'm sure there's something there. I don't think...
often he doesn't care about characters. He's just, what's the way I can get to the next scene with flashy things and explosions and action.
Is that when he's directing or writing, though? What's the difference? Is it only in the films he's written or the films he's directed? So I'm sure there's a different take on a writer-director or just a director. So yeah, I'm not too keen on his writing either, but I want to make the distinction because I don't want to bash him for the wrong reasons. It's like you suck about everything in the movie. No, just your writing. You're good with the lens flare. You're good with the zoom ins. He's got some skills. Can't knock him. Jake the Surgeon again. My grammar and spelling are top notch. That's alrighty, sir. This is chat. You're allowed to throw money at me and make an ass of yourself. I will not judge you. I do not look a gift horse in the mouth. Shiny will. He's British. That's fine. They invented the damn language. It's up to him. He's fine. But for the rest of us in Canada, we're totally cool. We're good. And John Lumley again. The only substance is mystery boxes. Really? Is that all there is? He has one technique and that's all he does? I'm sure he does more than that.
Well, his favorite technique that he loves to get hard on for is the mystery box.
Really? Okay. That's probably true. I have to watch more of his stuff. I have not watched the Star Trek versions of JJ Trek. I don't know. I watched a little bit of the first one. I haven't watched the other two. I heard that the last one
Well, I don't think he had a... with JJ Star Trek, it's not so much of a hard-on for mystery boxes because I don't think he's created his mystery box theory yet. But at least for when he comes to Force Awakens, it was like, oh, well, here's a mystery. Here's another mystery. Here's another mystery. And he was just throwing mysteries everywhere.
I don't mind mystery. Mystery is very important to a plot.
Well, no, but the problem is his attitude towards the mystery. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with good mystery. Good mystery, it can be fantastic. But his idea of a mystery is that there is no answer. You don't open the box because the idea of the mystery is better than what's inside.
Okay, that's not... Mystery has to be revealed. Not all of the mysteries, but the ones that are mentioned, let's just say. The ones
It's
that are...
why he tried to close Rey's parentage off in the first film, because he's like, here's a mystery. Who's Rey's parents? Actually, we're not going to cover that. Oh, look.
Yeah, well, we know what happened there.
Andrew Clark says that I'm wrong. He had a mystery box in Lost.
Oh, really?
But anyway, at least for Star Trek, he doesn't go crazy with mystery box. I don't think he's big on mystery boxes than that.
Okay.
In Star Trek, it's more the lens flares.
Oh, here's Mark in 3D. Thank you, sir. I love the huffs. LiteratureDevil explained it well. What is wrong with JJ's box? Yes, he did. He made a very good video about that. I remember watching it. Very interesting video. Yeah. We all love LiteratureDevil's video. That's why we talk to him all the time. Okay. I think we're ready to go, guys. We're set? We're good. Okay.
Into a story. JJ is very good at making boring information feel fun and exciting. Check out this scene from Super 8.
We have to go back to town to find Alice, to find her. Come on, guys. Dude, she's dead. Alice is dead.
Don't wait a minute. First of all, I want to live, okay?
Joe, what do you actually expect to do, man? Town's closed. We're not allowed to go back. Look, I have an idea.
This isn't making it particularly exciting. It's making me dizzy, if anything.
That's a pretty basic planning scene. They could have done it with simple shot, reverse shot. But JJ makes it more engaging than that by having the camera
Oh, he has the camera spin.
Actors constantly
almost nauseously.
Also, I'm using Super 8 as an
sick.
example here because it's the only movie he's directed without cinematographer Dan Mindell. JJ's style remains the same regardless. It's very distinct. But in The Rise of Skywalker, these kinds of exposition scenes are constant, and they are barely scenes. You know what I mean by scenes, right? Like two characters in a room working through a character-based conflict that reaches some kind of resolution and that leads into the next scene. In The Rise of Skywalker, this never happens.
So you're not defining what you mean by scene. So by scene, the context that he's trying to put forward, it seems like he's talking about... it seems like he's trying to say a scene is only if there's actually like characters and stuff, but you can actually have a fight scene and you can have lots of different kinds of scenes. As much as I'm not quite sure he's quite describing the word scene correctly. At least his definition.
What kind of milquetoast argument have I jumped into right now?
Oh, hey, voice.
Boys.
Hello.
We're talking about just right, and
Yeah, his definition of the word scene is when two characters are doing character things. Apparently,
keep the camera moving, because if you have weak dialogue, sure, that's weak dialogue, but if you keep the camera moving, the audience might think stuff is still happening.
I guess the visual stimulation of having a spinning
you
camera.
connotate the camera. You connotate the camera moving as like we're following some kind of action or some kind of there's something that we're supposed to be focusing on.
Right.
Or it's following something
and the
rather
camera
than just
makes it-
spinning around.
The camera makes the dull dialogue feel more energetic artificially.
When you're looking at 160 degrees of someone's face while they speak, and then it jumps to another face, and it just keeps jumping.
Like if I walk up to Smudboy, and so we're like 2 feet apart, and I say to him in a very serious expression, I'm thinking about having cereal for breakfast. That's dull. But if we have the camera pan from like my left side round my back to face the right side of both of us as we look in on that conversation, suddenly it becomes really exciting. And then we can cut back to Smudboy. He has some kind of reaction. It's like, I thought you were going to have toast.
Then we need the violins.
They need the Batwoman theme tune. Dun 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 dun.
Walk over to Smudboy. I want cereal. It's like, we've got no milk.
Dun 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 dun. Yeah, he's got a weird definition of the word scene anyway. And when he's talking about cinematography, that has got nothing to do with the writing. The cinematography is more like the plate which is the scene is being served on. It's not the actual scene itself, if you get what I mean.
I actually don't mind the definition that much, because writing should be about character conflicts, because that's what a story is inherently about, is about characters and what they're trying to do and achieve. So every story or every scene should have conflict, and that's obviously character conflict. You don't have like rock conflict of the environment, like, oh, it's raining and it's hitting the rocks. Oh, it's so no, that's not conflict. That's just the weather. You want?
I just think the definition of the word scene is wider, and obviously you should have good character development.
Exactly.
And I'd agree that there is not a lot of character development or exploration or depth to these characters in these films,
which is
there
interesting.
Needs to be a lot more of.
Because he said it's all exposition. You're like, well, exposition about what? Just the environment, what they want, what they're striving for. Because if you have exposition of the character, that eventually will turn into conflict. You can't just, I like ice cream. Ice cream is delicious and cool and refreshing, but we ran out of ice cream. Oh my, like there's conflict now. I want ice cream. So you have to have this lead somewhere. You can't just have constant exposition. So if that's what he's talking about, good. But we know there's lots of conflict in The Rise of Skywalker. It just happens so quickly, and we don't understand it. It doesn't have any value.
And it has no depth.
Yeah. It's just boom, boom, boom. And you're like, whoa, stuff is happening. What's happening? Please tell me. And he doesn't slow down. And that's one of the many problems of the movie.
Whoa, look at the camera move.
Whoa.
Yeah, when we talk about films, one of the things that I always find most important to talk about is the actual writing itself, and talking about the plate which the film is being served on, which is the cinematography. It's not the important thing to be talking about.
Anyway, let's keep going.
Off later in the movie. It's just them shouting exposition about the Sith Wayfinder or the Droid Smith or whatever. We don't get scenes where the characters talk about what actually matters to them and maybe share differing philosophies about something. Or when they do, they're over within 10 seconds. No scenes, just plot.
Man,
and
reminds me of another film in the trilogy that was like this.
Yeah.
That for some reason you don't hold this principle towards.
I wonder which one that might be. Yeah.
It was worth it to tear up that town, make them hurt. The
Well,
fuck are you saying?
I would think this applies to all three of the films.
So scenes can have plot. His definition is so wonky with these two things. I'm like, okay, I guess if you're using that logic, it doesn't exist in The Rise of Skywalker, but we know better.
If I was to describe this film, I wouldn't say it's no scenes, just plot. That's not I don't think that's the correct description of the film.
It's hard for me to wrap my brain around as well, but according to him, that's what's happening here. Anywho, John Lemley, thank you, sir. If there's conflict everywhere, one could say that there is no conflict. What? What is that? I can't pronounce that. RUCN? Is that an emote, or I don't know what happened there. I don't know what that means, but I think I understand.
I don't know what he's on about.
If there's conflict everywhere, one could say that there is no conflict. If the story is constant conflict, depends on the nature of the conflict. So if everyone's say the story is about boxing, so everyone's boxing. it would get tedious.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, okay, just another boxer. They're just fighting, and things are occurring. Oh, Russian and Chinese flags. Oh, and they're together. Because I saw RUCN, and I was like, what is that? Okay. Yeah, it didn't render on my screen. Sorry. Yeah, if you would have like a boxing movie, in every scene they're training, and they're boxing, and and if it's just the same style of cinematography, same profile shots, it would be like, oh, okay, this is not as exciting as I thought it would be because they're not doing anything special. They're not making the actual prize fight big. So that could be the goal, though. That could be the whole point of the movie, is to show that it's just a very slice of life sort of story. So you have these scenes that are all the same, even in the ring. It's the same perspective. But we don't see that with Rocky. We don't see that with other fight action scenes from the 60s and 70s of kung fu movies, or what they call wire fu movies. They're very, very poetic. Extravagant. They're flying in the air and doing all these amazing things. So it depends on the style of film. Anyway.
This is the biggest reason why I find the movie so uninteresting. There's nothing at stake emotionally between the leads. They're just sort of doing stuff. It's also hard to get invested in what's happening when nearly every...
So when they kill Chewie, they're just doing stuff. When Rey dies, Kylo was just doing stuff, or when Kylo dies, Rey was just killing her or killing him, and the thought of the death of Kylo's mother was just doing stuff. I mean, there's lots of emotional scenes. They're just strange and weird.
Weak. Yeah,
and emotional scars.
There's all kinds of stuff in this film. There's just so much. It's hard to process.
Honestly, there's a lot of times the film like tries to like shake you. Be sad now. Chewie's died, or oh no, Kajimi was blown up, or Kylo was stabbed. Leia's now dead. Rey died. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah. That'd be
hey,
funny.
look, all the characters we just met. Oh, they died. Oh no, they didn't die. Oh look, Chewie's dead. Oh no, he isn't. Oh look, Rey's dead. Oh no, she's not dead. What a film.
It's emotional baiting.
There's only one character I've ever been sad for that died in the Disney mainline film.
K2SO.
Yes. It's the only one that actually got me in like the 5 films they've done. Even like Han Solo and Leia and Luke. I wasn't sad they died. I was pissed off.
Yeah. And K2SO is from Rogue One, right?
Rogue One.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the only death where people gave a shit. Maybe what's the other guy? Played by Donnie Yen. I've forgotten the character's name.
Oh, the blind guy.
Say again?
The blind stick man.
The blind stick man. People cared when he died as well. It was a
good Amway.
Yeah, Cheer
Baz.
Cheer or something like that. Yeah. He had a good death. Yeah, he had a decent death, and it was appropriately sad.
Here's John Lemley again. Thank you, sir. While it's not an apt description for Rise of Skywalker, all scenes, no plot, sounds a lot like Naughty Dog's model of storytelling. Maybe in Abby's through line, yes, because she has no plot. She's just running around.
Abby sort of bounces about, yeah.
Just Right loves that game.
Yeah, I know. Just Right. It's just, how does it make me feel? Oh, I felt this, therefore good. Like, okay. He's like equating feeling to like the taste of food. It's like, this hamburger tastes like shit. I wasn't expecting that. Oh my goodness. It tastes very much like shit. It's amazing. It's like, oh, okay. Not exactly what I want to go to when I have a restaurant to appreciate. It's like, no. What did you eat yesterday? Oh, I went to this restaurant. They had this amazing pile of shit. It's like, oh, really? It's like nothing I've ever had before. It's like, I imagine not.
I can't believe Mauler's going to put out a video on The Last of Us. I really didn't think it would be up his alley, but
yeah, I don't know why he's doing that.
I'm glad to see it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's really not much to say.
Before a while ago, I don't think he'd played any of the games, and he just kind of played them all recently, and he's like, oh wait. but guess I should make one now.
I have a lot to say about this. Yeah,
it's pretty much the Last Jedi of gaming.
No, I'm pretty sure he said he was going to do a video on the ending of Game of Thrones, but I'm not quite sure if that's been released yet.
It has.
I just must have missed it then.
What, Mauler has?
I swear, like, Mauler has released. He's released some.
Yeah, he's done like 2
videos, but I don't think he's done.
He's yet to do 6 and a summary, which I think will be like one whole package of like 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a lot more to go through, guys.
It's interrupted by action.
Mr. Spock, I'm aware that I have no right to ask this of you, but please, he cannot know that I'm...
Film Crit Hulk talked about this in The Force Awakens in an incredibly in-depth essay on J.J. Abrams.
Okay, I don't like Film Crit Hulk. Anyone who writes in all caps should be dismissed. I don't care how smart you are.
Also has weird opinions.
I have not seen or heard of this guy.
I have not seen or heard of this guy either, but at least for what he thinks of J.J. Abrams, at least when you talk about Force Awakens right here, what I believe he's trying to say, I would agree that J.J. Abrams is someone who he's just all about the action and trying to make a film look flashy and basically trying to jangle keys in front of you to try and ignore the fact that the story is held up with duct tape and it's all very poorly written.
String. Not even duct tape actually has some.
It's some strength and practical use.
Yeah, it actually has some integrity. Silly string is more accurate.
Oh, here's a great one from John Lemley. It's a shame Movie Bob is too busy invading Poland to cover Last of Us 2, so we can't all lose 1,000 IQ points. I would imagine he loves it because it murders lots and lots of white guys, and he just loves that idea. I think he would just be so excited. The problem is he knows if he says that, he's going to get bashed on like he would not believed.
Yeah, but he says anything and he gets bashed on.
Oh yeah, but this is like, wait a second.
For right reasons, because he says things like, it wouldn't be too uncalled for if someone goes and invades Poland.
Right, but this is through his website. It's his job. Like, he can't just say, I really like the part where I killed like hundreds and hundreds of white men. You're like, whoa, Jesus.
He shares the YouTube channel with Yahtzee, who literally just keeps the channel afloat.
Yeah, I know.
And Yahtzee's already covered The Last of Us quite well, I'd say.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like, it was something along the lines of, I'm going to let you into a secret, Naughty Dog, just because you slap the women about and throw them through like action set pieces and hurt them does not mean they get character building.
Yes, there's so many problems with this. Well, at least with Abby's through line, that it's just, you sit there like, wow, this is going to go on for 10 hours.
Just because they fall through like a glass window or get some fingers cut off is not character building. I think that was his point, basically.
Yeah.
They're not, just because they get hurt does not make them any less or any more characters than they started. And they weren't characters to begin with.
I wish that these people would know what character development actually was before they started writing anything. Just like, oh yeah, what's an arc? What does it mean to change? How do you grow as an individual? Is there a lesson in this story I'm trying to say? Can you just write that down first before you actually go into publishing this thing? So sadly, Abby, all she had was guilt, and I had to lighten the load. And you're like, what are you talking about? What load? Who are you carrying for? What are you guilty over? Tell us. And compare that to, and I made a video about that, comparing it to Cowboy Bebop, which was one of the messages. I don't know why a blogger compared the two, but one of the messages of Cowboy Bebop was that you can't escape your past. It's always catching up with you, and you have to deal with it. And we have multiple stories of all the main characters who have their past catching up with them and how they dealt with them. And that's the beauty of the show. So when you see it you try and see it with The Last of Us, you're just sitting there going, why is she doing this? Why does she want any of this? Like, why is she giving up on this organization she's been a part of for 5 years? Like, this doesn't make sense. So Yeah, it's a weird story. Or at least one of them is. Jake the Surgeon. I wonder how many of Just Right's tweets and statements will be contradicted. I don't know because he blocked us all.
Well, not me.
Really?
Well, I don't think I'm active enough on Twitter or he knows about me to block me.
Oh.
I can check.
He was
I'm not
so
exactly
friendly
throwing tweets at him.
years ago, and now he just the last month is done. The thing that caused it all was he said a tweet about times change and so did my opinions or something like that. And I think Mahler jumped on
Twitter?
it. Yeah, Mahler jumped on it, and that's where Mahler got blocked. And I was like, well, maybe your opinions a year ago were wrong. Maybe you're using faulty criteria to analyze things. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about. Like all these basic understandings of, hey, maybe I was wrong 10 years ago. Maybe I didn't know what I was talking about. Maybe I had some flaws in my analysis. Yeah, I have them too.
Just Right is Sage Hayden, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not blocked.
No, he's still got me.
Well, maybe I should tweet at him and see if how long it takes.
Holy shit, Patrick Willems grew a beard.
He has. I'm surprised he's able to.
He looks like a crazy mountain man.
Did he get ripped? Was he using manscaped.com? What was he doing?
No idea, but it actually I think it looks good on him actually.
Well, that's good. No longer wearing the ball cap and glasses. He's got the shaved head going.
I think the beard completes the look.
Alrighty. Good on Patrick.
He should shave his beard. He should shave his head.
Balding man looks sexier shaved. It's true.
He looks like the reject third character of the Ben and Jerry's ice cream company.
All right, we got 3 more to go.
Ben, Jerry, and Patrick. There we go.
Oh no! See him munching down a whole bucket of this stuff. Okay.
Fish food. Yeah.
Ben, Jerry, and Patrick. That would be amazing. I want that now. I want that ice cream. Where's my ice cream?
All right, it's funny. Here's Mariner 71712. It's funny. Old print practices demanded that film and episode titles be in all caps, which I learned from a former trade writer who kept the habit long into the mid-hundreds. Hope he's still
Is that
around.
really his beard?
What? What are we talking about?
Patrick Willems. That can't be real. The one that has voice just put in.
Oh my god, he looks insane. What the hell? That's not a mountain man. That's that's a man stuck in a straitjacket. He doesn't have access to a bathroom.
That's definitely his beard. In the video.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't suit him. It looked better when he was saying, "You're watching movies wrong."
That is a very
looks like a lunatic.
He's a very excitable man, yeah.
He's very happy.
Especially the weird, creepy smile.
I don't know what he likes, but it's
just the way it extrudes out of his face.
It's not a flattering picture on the thumbnail, but I also think that's the point. So
that is a work of art, man. I don't know. I don't even think I can do that with my hair, but I don't think I want to.
No, well done.
You know,
yeah, no, bravo.
Evidence that there is no God.
That is
magnificent
amazing.
Muzzle he has cultivated.
Yeah, like that's like at least 8 months, probably more. Jeez. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to the chat. John Lemley, thank you, sir. Girlfriend reviews Last of Us 2 analysis. One of the best ever examples of not knowing literary and psychological terms, but using them regardless. Hey, tell that to all her sycophantic fans who would argue with me on Twitter for days on end of how I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe don't argue with them on Twitter. That's the lesson you take away from this.
The thing with girlfriend reviews is when it comes to the story, if they want to be critical about it, they can. But then when it came to The Last of Us, they explained why it's good by telling us what the theme is instead of the execution of the theme. Like, by virtue of it having this theme, the story is good when they don't go into the details of, like, how is this the theme? How can we compare the two? How well is it executed? I understand these things exist in the film. It's about how well they're, performed, they're written. And that's the bit they sort of skimmed over.
It's not the idea; it's the execution of the idea, and it's the same argument we've been hearing for like a lot of films they try to defend. It's the idea. The idea is what makes it good. It's not the execution of the idea, just the fact it has the idea.
You know, when Shelby says, The Last of Us is a game all about revenge and finding out how revenge cannot redeem what we've done before. And you're like, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I happen to think that's the direction they were taking. That doesn't mean it worked.
Right. There's lots of ways to tell a story of revenge and not getting your revenge properly. There's lots of ways to end that finishing stroke, if you will, in a certain way. So, yeah, we've gone over that a few times. I know I've talked about it to death. It's a big waste of everyone's time, really. Sadly.
Again, love the channel. Think it's very entertaining. And as far as a concept of a channel, I think it's very niche, and I think it works very well as being something different. Doesn't mean they always hit the nail on the head.
Right. Yep. So here's Mark in 3D. No voice. He duct taped his other hair. I was like, oh, okay. Hair on his back, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe he's a very, very hairy man. We don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I think we found the other son he's too afraid to talk about.
The Last of Us Part 2 was the most ridiculous thing since my son.
The other son.
The other son.
Here's Jake the surgeon again. Patrick had to get a beard transplant since he's more soy than man. I don't know. Maybe he's really good at growing hair. I have no idea what he's eating. He's just he's got lots of protein coursing through his blood. Just lots of hair growth going on. I know I like shaving. It's kind of just a professional thing for me, but there have been businessmen who don't shave. I've encountered a few over the years. It's very rare, but they are out there. So it's a style these days. Either that or Toronto's just so weird that everyone just dresses however they like. So
yeah, that's just Canada. We don't really
pretty much Canada. Just all Canadians' fault. Yeah. John Lemley, thank you, sir. Literature is a social construct. Yes, it is. Everything like literature is a social construct. Thank you, sir. It's all part of society. Taker 610. William's beard or Quentin's handlebar stash? I don't know. Quentin's got a pretty awesome beard himself. They've both got some serious facial growth going for them, which you got to be healthy. You got to eat your greens. You got to eat everything at the dinner table, and somehow your body converts that into hair. It's amazing. I don't know how it works, but obviously they go to manscaped.com. That's how they have to deal with all their bodily excretions in a gentlemanly way. And one more, Dead Slash. Thank you, sir. He's got a beard and he's baldy. His hided on upside doon. Is that an accent? Was that some sort of Scottish thing? I don't know. Maybe Gaelic? I don't know. But
you asking me?
No. I'm just I don't know if you know Gaelic, but maybe the certain vowel pronunciation there, the phonetics is more Gaelic than English. Couldn't tell you. Don't know. But yes. Patrick is a very hairy man. Good for him. Fantastic.
He looks like
the thing is, he
looks like this crazy mountain man who's been out in the woods for way too long.
Okay.
Okay, his head's on upside down. That's what he's saying.
Oh.
See, I had to translate.
There we go.
My brain's a translator now.
All right, folks, gentlemen, let's keep on going. We've got lots to do.
That has definitely my thoughts on him here, so I highly recommend checking that out. Basically, in a well-written plot, you understand the cause and effect of each action. The characters make...
Okay, so he's saying it's pure plot, but it's a badly written plot. Okay. Good to know.
Make decisions, and those decisions have consequences which lead into the next scene. In J.J. Abrams movies, the characters are talking about something, and then bad guys show up out of nowhere. The whole movie then just becomes about them running around.
Yeah.
It's banal. Doing this works in the moment because our lizard brains get shocked into paying attention whenever an action scene starts, and it's only after that we start wondering what the story is even about. To me, this kind of storytelling...
Yeah, it's basically jangling keys in front of your face, the film. And it does the exact... You can tell that this is J.J. Abrams' main strategy because he does it with everything from action to nostalgia. He'll jangle nostalgia in front of your face. He'll jangle action just as long as you don't think about the story and the plot. Because if you think about the story and the plot too much, you actually realize it's really fucking weak.
That's a weird analogy to have a director think of their audience as a bunch of children or kittens. It's like, hey, we got to entertain millions of people. How do we do that? It's like, oh, I don't know. Really?
Action. Yeah. Nostalgia. Go, go, go. Don't think. Keep going.
I guess the audience retention is like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted from a Star Wars film, is this mentality. So he has to think along those lines. Jeez. I'm sure he has other thoughts than explosions and lens flares.
This is a criticism, I think, that was brought up in TFA Part 3 by Mauler. The idea that the bad guys just show up not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. And it's like, yeah, narratively it makes sense that if you go to this cantina that Mars has for some reason, out of all the people there's going to be someone who's got contact with the First Order and be like, hey, the people are here. So narratively it makes sense. It's boring.
Yeah, narratively you can make a lot of things work if you write it well enough. But I agree that it is boring because it's like, oh, look, it just happens. It's almost like it happens, move on. Don't ignore why it's happening, it's just happening.
We need to have a way for the heroes to get away so they can arrive at the next cool location we have planned. But we also need action there, so we need to, keep the bad guys in the conflict for some reason.
Yeah, you have to create traveling or runaway conflict. It's like, with the main conflict, then we have a secondary conflict to get to the other thing that's another whatever plot point it is. It's like, yeah, all these strings of conflicts. Like, that's not a bad technique. It's just, can you have it make more sense?
He does that again in in the Rise of Skywalker. The necklace, obviously, just that being a thing to bring the villains into the story. And then he sort of changes it up with Kijimi by having the villains already be there. But then, for reasons, they go onto the Star Destroyer, and then carnage ensues.
So, this is somewhat random, but I think it's semi-relevant to Film Crit Hulk. He actually loves Mass Effect 3 and thinks that the ending was perfect.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there's this strange subculture of subspecies of human that seems to think that the ending of Mass Effect 3 is perfect. Do you know the reason why Space Dock thought that the ending of Mass Effect 3 was perfect? Do you want to know?
Why?
He says it's the ending to Mass Effect 3 is perfect because there is no choice. There you go.
I think I remember watching that video. I don't know if I reviewed it with another friend of mine, but Space Dock is... Yeah, he's a special character.
Which one's Space Dock again?
Look, he talks about spaceships and space battles, and he breaks down spaceship types.
Is he the one that does the redesigns of spaceships that sit in the background?
No, you're thinking of fuck. Damn it, now I'm actually frustrated now because I'm failing to remember what the guy's name is. E.C. Henry, that's it. E.C. Henry.
Oh, okay. I don't know who Space Dock is then.
You probably know him from just let me find. It's one of his videos.
He does good.
Like he does
good production value with his videos. It's just his opinions when he analyzes stories is just ugh.
Yeah, he's not a media analyst. He's here's some information about a spaceship I found off a book and a wiki.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Look, there you go. That's if you hear his voice, you'll probably recognize him.
Okay. I'll check it out later.
All right, thank you, Skids, for the 99 cents. I love 99 cents on the dollar. It's fantastic. American smackers -1. What a wonderful I love that message. $9.99.99 or whatever, whatever the reason behind the having pennies. It's fantastic. I don't know why that's entertaining for me, but it just is. Anyway, let's keep going.
Opposite. I'm bored when they're in peril because nothing deeper is happening to make me care.
As soon as you realize that it's nothing more than a farce, then it makes it have the depth. You realize it's the depth of the puddle and you don't care anymore.
Yeah, but the same criticism can be applied to the entire plot of The Last Jedi, which is just one chase entirely, which is just as arbitrary and just as poorly constructed.
Yeah. I think it's something which
entirely one chase.
In different levels of it, you could definitely apply the same criticism to the entire trilogy.
Hey, Skids, no, you don't have to give me more, but thanks anyway. No, I'm not.
What did he give you, 1 cent?
We gave me $2.99. That's like, that's like $5 Canadian. Yes, I know. We're like a quarter less than the American value of $1. So that's the wonderful exchange rate of Canada. Yeah, our economy is amazing. Just riding off the backs of the Americans every day. All right, let's get going.
It's relentless. They're at a festival, bad guys show up. Stuck in a cave, oh no, there's a snake monster. Go to another planet, more bad guys.
Okay, inherently there's nothing wrong with that setup. It's how you do it. You go to a place, there's conflict.
It's like you can make the same description of so many films, and if you just describe it in that way, it's gonna sound terrible. That is not really an argument for why it is of poor quality.
Right, he's just saying, go to this event, there's conflict, go to that event, there's conflict, etc., etc. That's fine. It's, again, how you write the scene, how you pitch it, how you throw it into the camera, how do you do all these things with the actors, why are they there, do they care about being there? All about execution and how you do it. Yeah, exactly. So he has to tell us why those scenes are bad. We know why they're bad, but not because they exist in the way that he described them.
And to be clear, it's not that this is a problem every time, or that it immediately makes a film bad if it does something like this. It's that it happens so constantly in J.J. Abrams movies that it robs the characters of agency, the ability to make big character-revealing decisions. I don't think it robs the character of agency. They have the ability to do whatever they want. It's because things are happening so quickly and there's so much stuff, there's no opportunity to slow down and focus on whatever they want.
It breaks the illusion of the story. If it's not written coherently, you realize that how shallow the story is, and that's why you stop enjoying it. It's nothing to do with character agency. It's all to do just with the audience perception of the film. It's like an illusion, and once that illusion is broken, you see what it really is.
Right. You'd have to go into the motivation of Rey and Kylo and what they're doing at that point in time with whatever plot point they're striving for. Then we could say, oh, you're right. There's no agency for Kylo Ren. He's just being pushed around by whoever. We can make that argument. But again, we need examples just right. You can't just say it. Oh, sorry. Got some more super chats from DKK. That's the dollar type. I don't even know what. I have no idea. What is that?
Donkey Kong currency.
Donkey Kong currency. Fantastic.
It's actually Danish.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Evening, lads. A stream on a birthday. Oh, it's your birthday? Have double the usual.
Happy birthday to you.
And good luck slugging through this guy's emotionless joyride. You're gonna need. I wouldn't say he's emotionalist. I would say I'm emotionalist. I'm stoic. I don't. You're
care. The robot.
I'm the robot.
Well, that's what I think. The idea of objective criticism. That's what's described to us by what's her face. Jack Saint, I believe.
Okay.
Well, the objective criticism is the robot.
That's good. That's what you want. You want to be as objective as possible. You want to make sure what you're observing is accurate and true, and you're not biased, and you're not blind, and you're not on drugs.
But that just means you don't feel anything, and obviously you can't enjoy art because art's about emotion.
Oh no, you can't. Yeah. How dare you feel anything? Sure.
How dare you remove your bias to analyze the story's writing?
It's like
ways to consume art. There's the lizard brain, and then that just kind of just, oh, look at all the cool things that are happening. Then there's kind of the emotional side where it kind of appeals to you personally, and then there's the structural and craft you analyze how it's constructed and how it works out.
Right, and you usually do that because there's something wrong and it's not working in your brain right. You're like, wait a second, what did I just watch? You rewind it for a few seconds and you go, wait, okay, this happens, and then that doesn't follow their plot. Why are they doing that? There's lots of things to look at when something doesn't feel right in a story. So that's really the only reason I would look at, let's say, the plot of Mass Effect 2. It's like, wait a second, why is Shepard doing this? Why are we doing any of this? This doesn't make any sense. And you have to think about it. Like, yeah, this is stupid. And you have to constantly reference the narrative to figure out why. And if there's no answer, that's the point of criticism, to find meaning. If there's nothing there, you have to come to that conclusion. There's no other, you can't just make stuff up. Anyway, that's just a little lesson in critical analysis right there. John Lemley, go to a place equals conflict is basically all of Empire Strikes Back, so I'm wondering why he didn't like it this time since the first time it was hated. Yeah, I know. His description of The Rise of Skywalker was so clinical. You're like, all right, yeah, you go to a place, there's conflict. I would hope there's conflict. That's every story that should be written should have conflict in it when you go to a new place. It depends on what kind of conflict and how it comes about. Why these people are there, why they care. So
by conflict, we don't always mean things need to explode or crazy, chase through the desert. Conflict can be like the small thing where characters discuss something and disagree.
They could be scared. They could be apprehensive. They could be all sorts of feelings. You can invent all sorts of scenarios for characters to be in conflict. And the best stuff is when you set it up. When you say someone is scared of spiders, in the next scene, there they are in front of a spider. It's like, boom, exactly. Chekhov's gun as quickly as possible. So there's lots of ways to do it. Mr. M, thank you, sir. Hello again, Smud. Got my rhino milk and weird grapes handy. I don't know what the weird grapes are about, but okay. Been watching you since your Mass Effect 1 vids. Wow, that was after my Mass Effect 2 vids. Cool. Thanks for all the quality edutainment. Well, no problem. We're here to serve. And I hope you guys check out, I think, Voice, you just finished your first part of your Rise of Skywalker analysis.
Yes. A titanical video.
That's long, sir. It's
a legendary video will be talked about from the end of time.
And we have Shiny. Shiny just did his latest D&D episode.
I hope you enjoy that animated feature because it takes about a week to make. Editing 4 hours of footage and modeling and texturing and animation and rigging and a lot of things.
So it's fun for us to come around to do a Smudcast and just shoot the shit and look at some other video which is not ours and tear it to pieces. So
yes.
Yeah.
We are rightfully criticizing some very terrible arguments.
So the one of these days, Smud, I think that I think you would get some good mileage out of covering the Austin Film Fest, just even like articles or the live tweet thread.
Okay, remind me on that because I take recommendations whether it's on chat or in my suggestions channel. But yeah, be happy to remind me. Write it down. Yeah, I'll be happy to check it out.
Yeah.
Any
also,
book?
audio.
Sorry.
So audio for the Austin Film Fest. They actually edited out 40 minutes of content of that for their video that was only 20 minutes long out of an hour-long interview. It's like they edited out some of the most insultingly awful stuff.
So they had an interview that lasted over an hour, and they cut it up. Okay, I'll check it out. Sure. Just remind me, and I'll be happy to. Anything it is, a game, a book, a manga, I don't care. I'll be happy to look at it.
The decisions Rey is making in this story, but everyone else is just along for the ride. No scenes, just...
Mm-hmm. See, there's nothing wrong with people being along for the ride. They're called secondary characters for a reason.
But then it is kind of, those characters get shafted for the sake of Rey. Finn, Poe, all, like throughout the entirety of the trilogy, their characters get pushed aside only for Rey. And maybe that wouldn't matter as much if people, Rey was actually being developed and that was actually doing good stuff with Rey, but you're just kind of shafting these other characters for nothing.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, secondary characters are supposed to take a back seat to the main characters anyway. That's expected, but then they're just excess baggage if they don't have any plot relevancy. They're just really attractive chairs that talk back to you. Like that's.
Well, I wouldn't say that Han Solo and Leia would often take the back seat. At least not to the extent of how it happened in the sequel trilogy, because Leia, yeah, she was back at Yavin, but she still, like, throughout some point of the story, they still had some scenes for Leia. They still had, stuff going on with her throughout. I think in every film. Same with Han Solo.
Yeah, Han Solo was a plot point. You had to go save Han at the start of the film, and great, we're done with that. Let's keep on going. He's still around.
Finn's just kind of there, and oh look, Finn's gonna charge a horse army onto a ship, which could easily tip its wing and tip them all off. And apparently, the ships don't know which way is up.
Yes, there's
reasons.
There's many problems with the movie. We're not going to get into them. We're just going to listen to Just Right because there's so many. We'd be here for hours, as Mr. Voice can attest to. So, 5 minutes in, guys. We've got a lot way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Plot. So that's the movie. Endless sequences of running around, yelling exposition, getting interrupted by action scenes. I've seen so many people describe this movie as rushed, and this is the reason for me. It's JJ style cranked up to 11 to the point that nothing else is allowed.
Well, no, to an extent it is rushed because of the extensive rewrites and reshoots of the film. Like, the film has had so many reshoots and rewrites, they had to keep... Like, it's had so many changes. That's why it feels rushed, because it's just a mix mash of plots. It's a mess.
The theory
mixed with Return of the Jedi. Sorry.
The theory is that there were reshoots near the was it the screenings, the various whatever test screenings they did, and they had to call in JJ to fix things again or what have you. So we don't know that's the official story.
No, they had numerous reshoots. In fact, some of the reshoots were only happening a couple of weeks before the official release of the film.
Yeah, but it's
or
never
at least if you listen to rumor.
Yeah, it's a rumor. It's never been confirmed. I think JJ disproved that, but it's the only other explanation we have to explain why the ending and why Palpatine exists at all. It sounds like he was thrown in there for the sake of having a name drop. Let's get the actor back in to do these scenes for 3 months or whatever it was. So, there's so many rumors. I'm like, I don't even like the film, so I don't care. That's why I haven't touched it, rather. I haven't done my own analysis because it's just everyone knows it's bad. It'd be like, hey, look, that piece of shit is this shade of color. Oh, wow.
Well, right. I think we all know like the Last Jedi was shit. It's just kind of analyzing it and talking about why it's terrible. And people like to know understand why something is poorly written. It's interesting.
Yes, I know. We can do, but it's so surface level. Anyone could figure it out. Like I could do it, but it's like
I don't know. When I was trying to write it, there is the surface level problems, and then every time I keep writing, I think and I remember, there's another problem back there. Okay, I need to go back and write about that, and then I remember another problem, and it gets to the point where my script was getting longer, and it was getting longer, and it was getting longer, and it was getting longer to the point where I just have all these pages, and I keep having to go back to keep talking about a problem which was happening earlier in the film or later in the film that I only just started thinking of. The film has far more problems than what you think is on the surface level. It is riddled with holes to the point where it doesn't even have a hole.
It's Swiss cheese that makes
Swiss cheese, some kind of structure, yeah.
Makes it look structured.
We're not talking about holes here. It's not even a sieve. It's just it's hard to describe.
Here's Dead Slash.
I don't think it's a proper analogy.
Thank you, sir. These are These are either Armenian dollars or Australian dollars. I don't know. But thank you, sir. Beyond rushed. It felt like a story told by a hyperactive 5-year-old hyped on sugar. I don't know. That's kind of insulting to 5-year-olds hyped on sugar. I think they could do a better job, I think.
It's like 2 films in one.
This is, especially with, I think rushed part may be because A, the film is messy, and B, because of its fast pace. Though, Just Right here believes it's only because of its fast pace.
No, it's bad because
it's
really, really structurally broken. Like, there's not even like splinters left.
Though I noticed that Just Right is being very careful with the way he's talking about the film. He says, well, I think it's this way, and the film is just not for me, rather than actually saying, well, the film has objective qualities which we could talk about and that are in the film which we could discuss and come to a conclusion. He's just like, oh, well, I think this way. It's not for me. You could enjoy it, but I don't.
I know, but when you talk to, let's say, the example of children, I did this analysis of Mass Effect 2, and there was a kid saying, why didn't Shepard just have a coma? That would solve all the problems. It's the same sort of mentality of a kid looking at this film going, why is this such a mess? It's happening too quickly. Like, anyone could objectively see that. You don't need some genius intellect. Oh, I understand film better than it. Like, no, just watch the film.
Well, you need a really high IQ to understand Rick and Morty.
I know. All these silly arguments. Oh, you have to go to film school. It's like, You don't need to go to film school. Okay.
Obviously, I'm better than you because I went to university to study films and writing. Beat that.
If you've been cooking all your life, you're probably better than most master chefs. If you've been writing all your life, you're probably better than most new authors. It's just how it is. Anyway.
No, but obviously the certificate means I'm better than you.
Yeah, I know.
Just by default.
Yeah. No argument. You don't even get a say in this. It's just an authority argument. Or appeal to authority argument. That's all.
There's no other way to use definitions or scenes or describe words. It's like, nope. Yeah. There's only the film school way.
During a J.J. Abrams movie. So there's a part in this film where we're told that Chewbacca is dead and that it's Rey's fault. This moment is very indicative of how J.J. handles emotion.
What was that?
Nothing to feel. There's nothing to feel. It's just it's emotional manipulation. It gets resolved in 3 minutes.
Yeah, they don't even wait to show you. It's like, Chewie! Oh no, Chewie's dead. Oh, Rey actually did something. Oh no, she didn't do anything. Oh,
I feel like that scene was like added in, out of place of where it was supposed to be. I think they were supposed to like have the discussion because it's screen cut from his death. Rey and Finn have a quick discussion, and then they immediately cut away to show that Chewie is alive. I feel like they threw it in there because, like, it was intended to be somewhere later between them arriving at Kijimi and them discovering that Chewie is alive.
No, but I don't even think that would make sense because they would probably receive Chewie. Chewie would be brought to the bridge immediately. And but that is the scene itself.
As in, like, they have the discussion to go to Kijimi, they plan to leave, they head there, and then we cut away to find Chewie has been captured or something. It just feels like they threw it in because they couldn't stand to, like, keep it a maybe he's dead thing for, like, longer than a minute.
Also, it's just a huge disconnect. It's like, Finn would have known which ship was taking off with Chewie. Surely.
And
the best part is that the ship explodes with Chewie on. Poe yells for Finn and Rey to come back, despite the fact he's pointing to fighters that are on the way. And so Rey runs away from Kylo, who's like 7 or 8 meters away. And then you're thinking, how are they going to escape? Kylo is right there. We've just established he can pull ships out of the sky with the Force. There are TIE fighters on the way that can track through light speed. How are they going to get out of it? Oh, screen cut. Oh, okay.
It wasn't
also there's another thing about that scene. So why is Kylo Ren force pulling this ship? What possible reason? Why is he having a tug of war with it?
No,
the ship is trying to escape
Rey and like just
knock her out.
Force, yeah.
Didn't
because
best
there's
part
no
is-
reason for him to pull it.
Finn is watching the entire thing happen, and he has a gun on his person, and he doesn't think to shoot Kylo right there and then. He's just watching them back and forth. He leaves the ship with a blaster on his belt. Because we see it when he goes to look at Chewie, find where Chewie is, and he's been dragged off around the corner. We see on his back, he has Rey's pistol in a holster.
I have this question about that scene too. Didn't Chewie have the dagger on him?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes,
so when she blows up the ship with her force lightning, aren't they like now stranded and lost of what to do because the dagger's gone?
No, because C-3PO still has it in its head, and that's why they go to that other planet. Because they want. Yeah, that's why they go there to basically wipe C-3PO's mind, kill him, and then take the information.
Yeah, but doesn't Rey have this feeling?
The idea is so C-3PO can translate it, but he's not allowed to say what's on it.
Right.
Because the New Republic made it illegal to say those words.
Right.
No, it's not the New Republic, it's the Old Republic.
Oh, yeah, the Old... Wait, why would the Old Republic make reading Sith illegal?
I don't know,
Why would
you
you
go back,
even be programmed to read Sith
scene,
if it's illegal?
If you go back into that scene when C-3PO starts his ramble before the snake interrupts, he mentions it was the Old Republic, not the New Republic, that made that rule.
Which is
Despite the fact the Old Republic were at war with someone who was a Sith, Count Dooku.
But like, what would even be the point of not even, he can?
I don't know why would that be a rule the New Republic put on C-3PO anyway? If C-3PO was built by Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. Well, you could say, it's because maybe he got reprogrammed when he was property of Senator Amidala. Who knows?
She give a shit?
I don't know. It's like, hey, C-3PO, you're not allowed to say the Sith N-word. Then you've got the whole, why can't C-3PO just point to a map? Like, he can't translate it, but he can point to a map. He can say, it's in this system. I'll take you there.
The point I was trying to get at was that later on in the story, Rey feels that she says, "I feel we need the dagger." I could sense it here. It's like, oh, why do you feel you need the dagger now? I thought you destroyed it because you blew up the ship.
Oh, okay. Oh, good point. Oh shit! I didn't think of that. Because they think Chewie exploded on that ship. So why does Rey immediately say, "Hey, we need the dagger" when they're on the Star Destroyer? If they think that Chewie died with the dagger.
And they don't need. Yeah.
Have they released Chewie yet at that point?
No.
Have they found Chewie? Okay.
No. They're on their way to get.
No. I thought they. They're on the way to get Chewie. Rey. That's the whole reason they go to the Star Destroyer. Chewie. She senses Chewie. She senses Chewie. But though obviously just plot convenience. Usually when you can sense someone, like when Vader senses Luke, or when Luke and Leia sense each other, it's because of a force connection they have. What force connection does Rey have with Chewie to know that she can feel him in the force?
Another thing that kind of just irks me a little bit is when there was originally this concept art of Chewie being interrogated by Kylo, and Kylo reads his mind. He sees that Chewie doesn't blame him for Han's death, and he just sees Kylo as just the little kid playing on the Millennium Falcon.
Also, imagine, like, what was the point? Again, go back to the whole Chewie, C-3PO can't translate thing. It's like, isn't that kind of like, hey, spy in World War II? Yeah, you can read German, but you're not allowed to say what's on this message. You can never say what that German meant aloud.
It's stupid.
All right, we went on a tangent there, but that's okay. There's so many rabbit holes to jump down in this movie.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with this film. There's just so many problems with it, and I'm so obsessive about getting all the problems. I couldn't finish the video, and I just gave up on it. I just had so many pages and pages of it.
Here's John Lemley, the super chats. Thank you, sir. There's a couple really great skits off The College Dropout about the fallacy of education degrees being the ultimate affirmation of one's life. I think that's where these people are coming from. They want to validate what they did for 4 years and whatever, $50,000, $100,000 to be educated in some area and not find a job in that area, or wanting to use those skills for something and be very passionate about it, which is fine. You went through all that training, you spent all this money. Obviously, you want to get something out of it. So I get that. It's just when you're at university, you are taught to think. You are taught to think critically, at least the places I went to. They don't teach you how to be this interpretive ninny who just sort of sits back and goes, well, I think this, and this is the way it makes me feel.
If you use reader response theory.
Oh, God. See, that's the thing. If you learn one of those theories, you should be smart enough to realize the value of these all these different perspectives, which is why I like when we were talking to John that one time, because he says, well, quality is just your interpretation, your perspective, whatever criteria you're using. It's like, yeah, you're right.
Well, yeah, it is perspective and criteria, but when we're talking about, when we are talking from our perspective and talking about our criteria, we are making an argument with things which we can talk about in the film, not about our feelings or our biases. We don't make an argument from our bias. We make an argument from our perspective, talking about what's in the film.
Right. And that's why I joke about how people just see everything as it's all in your head, or it's just a social construct, or it's just a priori reasoning, when in reality, the objects exist. They're outside of our purview. The value and quality and function of those objects are indicative of the object themselves, why they were created, what they do, how they're used, which has nothing to do with my opinion or my feelings. And this is a very simple perspective to take, and it's very basic. You do this in almost throughout every day of your life, one foot in front of the other. It's like, oh, well, gravity is a thing. Staircases are things. They have a certain function. It's not my opinion. This is how they work.
That's subjective.
Yeah, it's a social construct. We built stairs.
It's only a social construct. Stairs are a social construct, and there is no objective quality to having stairs. There is no objective quality to having a chair. A chair which has no back and has a pole which rams up your ass is no different than having a regular gaming chair.
Don't quote Patricia Taxon there. That's their go-to argument. Define a chair.
Or when she says that not having judges of quality is a good thing, sucker.
Oh yeah, and in that video we were covering was it Patricia Taxon or Jack Saint? I think it was Taxon. When he was talking about money is arbitrary, money is subjective, and all that. What was it? Yeah, if we just stop having criticism, the world would be a better place. If we just stop criticizing people, guys, films would be so much more better if you didn't constructively criticize what they were doing.
I would have to go back and watch that video to see where he quotes himself, or we see that quote, because I don't know if he said that, but that's silly. That's just silly. Anyway, let's not go there.
I remember we all laughed at it.
Oh, we laughed at the whole damn thing, but that's not the point. Let's just keep on going with this video. Mr. M, I went to college, tilled plankton. Okay. What? Plankton?
That's a quote from Plankton, apparently.
All right. Plankton as in the what
SpongeBob character.
Yes. Oh, a SpongeBob character. It's like zooplankton. I was like, what the hell? Phytoplankton. John Lemley. Just right is a social construct. I'm not sure what just right is. He's obviously a very, very smart man, and
I know what he is. He's just wrong.
Ooh.
He is very wrong.
Here's more DK coins. I love this. DKs. Use ready response theory to come to the conclusion that quality is a social construct, so you can just imagine it's the movie you wanted it to be. So therefore, just right is wrong, because you could say exactly the same thing, and that could be the indicative view that quality is good. All the things he's saying are bad are actually good.
One thing I've been thinking about is making like a parody video of like what these arguments are. We're covering these videos, like what the Mooper kind of thing. So, but instead of being shiny FX, it'd be whiny as fuck. So AF as fuck.
Why wouldn't you just call it fuck?
Sorry, so again, voice you go out.
Why wouldn't you just call it fuckwit?
No, because whiny is AF is, I think, is a good spin on shiny FX.
All right.
Yeah, you got the F in there. It's got EY.
All for it, Shiny. You go for that idea. If it's easier to do than the Rise of Skywalker analysis, go for it, man. It's a good idea.
Well, it's easier to take the piss out of something than it is to write hour-long criticisms diving into all the problems of the film.
Anywho,
thanks, man.
It's basically make a straw man. And these people you think would be very good at that.
Let's keep going.
Scenes in his movies. In the hands of another storyteller, I imagine that the movie would linger on this moment of defeat. Rey should be absolutely devastated by this. She'd go into shock, isolate herself from everyone else in case she accidentally hurts them as well. And it should be the saddest moment of the trilogy. But the movie doesn't let her or us actually grieve. Grief is often sped through in J.J. Abrams movies, and particularly these Star Wars movies. Like when entire planets get blown up and no one really seems to mind. When is it not sped through across the sequel trilogy? Or it's reversed, like when Kirk dies and is then brought back to life. Hey, that sounds familiar, because wouldn't you know it, Chewbacca is still alive, and so is almost everyone else who quote-unquote dies in this movie. Grief is treated as an inconvenience. It gets in the way of the fun, so they just get rid of the...
I don't think the grief is an inconvenience. I just think the pacing is so freaking fast, there's no time to actually address things.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how it was written. It's not, he didn't like grief. It's like he just didn't write it that way.
Yeah, I say it's something that he didn't care about. So he was more focusing on, let's get to the next scene rather than grief.
Yeah, he's been arguing that exposition. It's like, well, grief is a form of exposition. Everything's an exposition. What do you want? You want the emotion of grief? Okay, well, we got to get to the next plot point. That's how he wrote it.
You want to see Luke grieve for his best friend? Yeah, we cut that scene.
And the thing is, they could have done both. They could have had a scene where they're traveling to get the next plot point, and Rey just can't take it. She just starts bawling her eyes out. And everyone's like looking at her like, we can't comfort you because we're just as stunned. And that would have worked great. Would have been 10 seconds.
Yeah, Rey, you're a psycho bitch. You killed Chewie.
Simple,
how could you do this?
Simple zoom in, get that close up of the actress's face and just have her cry for like 10 seconds. It's called acting. Fantastic.
Consequences to anything.
It is fortunate that the consequences were not more severe.
You gotta be kidding me.
They even make sure to let us know as quickly as possible that Chewie is fine. We see that he's alive before the characters learn that he is, which to me is a wasted opportunity. I mean, imagine if you just cut out that little reveal that Chewie is fine and that we didn't know that until Rey did. Then we'd actually get to empathize with the characters as they deal with that loss. But if they did that, then they wouldn't be able to have as much fun.
I think that'd be very out of nowhere, though, if all of a sudden Rey just looks up at a Star Destroyer, and because obviously we as an audience already know, but if you suddenly just snap to Rey looks up at a Star Destroyer and says Chewie's alive, it would be very jarring.
What? Since when? Yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Here's Lenny the Shark. Taxon wants to live in a critique-free world because she wants nobody to tell her how objectively trash her music is. I've never heard their music, so I don't know if it's good or bad.
It's meh. It's not very good.
I've not heard it.
Apparently there was music in the video we stopped watching, so...
Yeah.
I think, however, if it was Patricia Taxon, I think it might have been where I was watching her video on Ragged, and she had sexy wolf version of herself, or whatever it was, dancing to the song, and I think for a couple of minutes, I went full gay.
Oh, gosh.
Because anything would be better than looking at her doing that.
Oh, my.
Oh my, fuck off. I want to fuck something else. Anything else.
Ooh.
If this is women, I don't want any part of that.
Oh my.
Okay, let's keep going.
It's pretty cute, so the movie's fun again. And I'm not saying that a Star Wars movie needs to have the tone of a funeral, but that low moments make the triumphant ones feel more triumphant. So there's the...
See, again, he's focusing on the feeling, which is fine. You want to work with character dramas here and there, it's fine. But that's not what this story is about. It's not what the story is trying to show us.
I would agree that, when you have a character have a low, it makes that the moment when they're high again, it makes it feel a lot. Yeah, it is more triumphant, but you still got to work hard to get there. You've got to make it work.
Right. You can compare it to the death of Han in Episode 7. Like that was focused on.
Of Obi-Wan, or the death of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a low point in many ways. You can have it be the character's low point of them being defeated. I'm trying to think of a really good example. Say if we, the first time the protagonist fights the antagonist, they get the ass kicked out of them. They lose everything, and then that's their low point. And then when they get their shit together and they fight the antagonist at the end of the film and they win, because they've gone from the low to high, it makes it feel so much better because of the character has had to work so much harder and go so much further to get to why am I so difficult? I keep blanking with words right now. The end of the film. That's the best word I can use right now. The climax, yeah. Just to get that high point.
All right, we're in 7 minutes in. We're not even a quarter done. Wow. Okay. Let's keep on going.
Me, huh?
The problem. I don't know how to feel during J.J. Abrams movies because we're just whizzing past how the characters should be feeling to get to the next set piece. 2 scenes after Rey thinks she killed Chewbacca, you wouldn't be able to tell that it had happened. We're always on to the next thing. No scenes, just plot. Now, one of the reasons JJ gets away with this kind of filmmaking, where the emotional beats don't have the time to land on their own or are never explored, is because of, well, everything we've talked about so far with his super quick, flashy storytelling. But it's also because he can always just rely on nostalgia. Part 3, nostalgia at any cost.
Who the hell are you?
In this scene from Star Trek Into Darkness, we learn this character's true identity.
My name is Khan.
This moment drives me up the wall. For the characters in the room, that name is meaningless. They've never heard it before. For them, it is not a twist, even though the way the scene is shot implies that it is. It's only meaningful for
I think it is a twist, but it is the
other Star Trek media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it is sort of like a twist because at this point we don't know that this is Khan, but it is just a moment for the to look at the camera and say, look, I am this name. You should feel nostalgic for this other film you watched. That was much better than this one.
Yep.
I haven't actually seen this movie, and it still does not interest me.
It's kind of a mess. I think Critical did one of his longer videos, like 20 minutes long, on why this movie is really bad. It's just not just a bad Star Trek movie, it's just a dumb movie in general.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a terrible film all around.
Media. Abrams uses references like this constantly in his films, and he is willing to sacrifice any other element of storytelling to hit the nostalgia button. Character consistency and thematic coherence are never more important than nostalgia. He doesn't take the time to set up these moments because why would he? His movies are all about fast pacing, so why waste time setting something up if the audience already recognizes it? So in The Rise of Skywalker, there's this ridiculous moment where Maz Kanata gives Chewie a medal. If you missed why this was important, let me explain what the movie did not. Luke and Han got medals for blowing up the Death Star in A New Hope, but Chewie inexplicably did not. So for 40 years, fans have wondered, sometimes sarcastically, sometimes overly seriously,
yeah,
well,
it's a
why
meme.
didn't Chewie get a medal? So in this movie, he just gets one at the end.
Yeah, exactly the same why Rey is training. Why does she need training? Because people complained about it. She doesn't need training. She's a god. What is she training for? What, is she going to be even more powerful? Like, what is she trying to do? What skill is she learning? It's the same argument, really.
And even though there's no reason for it to happen in this story, it's not like the character has ever expressed that he wanted the medal. There's no story to this story. It's just
we
fan
have no
service.
idea.
Now, mercifully,
True,
this only lasts a moment, but it's indicative of the scene I really want to talk about, which is at the end, where it happens in like 3 different ways. So Rey goes to Luke's old house on Tatooine. She buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers there in a place that holds a bitter memory for Luke, a place he only wanted to leave, on a planet that Leia probably doesn't remember fondly. She then claims the name Skywalker for herself. Again, it's a moment that makes sense from the perspective of the audience, but which doesn't make quite as much sense for her. Skywalker is synonymous with heroism for the audience because we met Luke first as a hero. But now that we know the full history of this family, would Rey really want to align herself with that legacy? A family that either dominated the galaxy or abandoned it? From Rey's perspective, the only member of the family she had an uncomplicated relationship with is Leia. Leia fought against dictatorship her entire life. She's the adopted daughter of someone who also fought and died fighting dictatorship. She trains with Luke for only a few days, but for a year with Leia. Even though we don't see it, I think it's arguable that she had a closer relationship with Leia than she did with Luke. So if there's one name in the Star Wars saga that is actually synonymous with heroism, democracy, freedom, resistance, and everything else that Rey values, it's Organa, not Skywalker. So if she's going to construct her own identity
I would say that she shouldn't really be assuming anyone's
stronger
fucking
statement
name.
to choose
No
Organa,
Leia as Organa. She doesn't know Leia as Organa. So that's just stupid. She only knows Leia as
General.
So does she know? Does she know her?
I don't know. Leia's second name is never really brought up. She's only really General Leia.
In the first film, the title crawl is General Leia Organa, but we have no idea because again, these two characters don't have fucking scenes together, so we don't know if Rey even knows what last name Leia goes by.
I like all that reference to.
She got married, so I would assume that she would have gone with Solo. But then again, they did break up for some reason that we don't really know about. You just may as well give up.
Yeah, they never really touch about the relationship between Han and Leia very much, at all. Sort of this thing, it's in passing. It's like, oh yeah, that thing happened in Episode 7. It's gone now. Okay. That thing that Rey wanted, a family, all this time.
Yeah, you don't really take other people's last names unless you're marrying them or you're their child. It's very bizarre just to up and take someone's name.
Especially when you're saying goodbye to their heirlooms. Like, you would think you would carry the heirlooms with you and representing them as well as their name, not throw it away and then borrow their name. It's like, wait, what? Why are you doing that?
Not Skywalker. It's only Skywalker because of how the audience feels about the name. It's the Khan moment all over again. These moments feel like they've been constructed backwards. Like they had this idea of a cool scene that would hit the nostalgia button and then stretch things to get there without earning it. And that's not even mentioning the fact that the earlier moment in the film, when she says her name is Rey, just Rey, is infinitely more powerful than the moment at the end. First, conclusion?
You haven't qualified
Interlude?
that.
Whatever. I think the Mission Impossible franchise was the ideal franchise for J.J. Abrams. Those are movies where tons of exposition shot like it's super exciting works, where being fast and funny, but having little substance.
But even
works,
then,
where
just
mystery
making
box
a camera
storytelling
spin,
works, because it's a Mission Impossible
doesn't
movie, and I don't
necessarily
care if
make
there
it
are
more
character arcs
exciting
or
because it is
themes,
just
or even what the
making
characters'
it
names are. Simon Pegg has been in
it's
like
shallowly
4 of them,
making it
and I
exciting.
still call him Simon Pegg because it's Mission Impossible. Show me some explosions, and I'll be fine. But with Star Wars, I want a little more. I want to be invested in the characters in this story, which would mean slowing down the pace and allowing them to interact with each other on a more emotional level. It'd mean allowing moments of defeat to land before rushing on to the next
As long
thing.
as you're
And I
prepared
want
to admit
stories that
it
are
never
thematically
happens, then fine. Because it doesn't happen any more in The Last Jedi than it does in The Rise of Skywalker. I'm sorry.
I think that another issue is that actually Mission Impossible has more sophisticated storytelling than any of the Star Wars movies, to be perfectly honest. Especially 4 through 6.
Did JJ write any of those?
JJ produced the 3rd one. And after that, like, JJ Abrams, I think he's still a producer, but the main force behind it is Tom Cruise. And
he's a director, isn't he?
He's just a director, and like the script for Rise of Skywalker was written by Chris Terrio and JJ. And the problem with that is, Mr. Terrio wrote for Justice League.
Right, Batman v
That's
Superman.
his main contribution. Yeah,
great idea. Thanks there, Kathleen Kennedy. Thanks for that suggestion of a writer there.
Chris Terrio sucks, and even people who like a School of Movies did not like Rise of Skywalker very much. But what he did put down is like he blames Chris Terrio and majorly for the faults of the film, and I'm like, yeah, it's a combination thereof. It's a combination of the fact that JJ doesn't know how to write very well, and Chris Terrio's a hack, just as a rule.
If there were 3 or 4 writers, they'd all share the blame. Like you couldn't just zero in on one person. But too many cooks in the kitchen, ultimately. But the other formats of the story we saw or were leaked were arguably better. Just pretty weird, still pretty strange, but I think they would have gone by a little bit more creatively, I dare say, interesting. But I thought the other scripts were a little more cooler to be put into a movie, but that's just my opinion. Anywho, John Lemley, thank you, sir. But guys, she would have chosen Ren as her surname for selective fan outreach reasons. Yeah, right, sure. JJ was totally thinking about the Raylos at that point in time. He's like, oh, wait a second. Got to reference some romantic notion of a dead lover. It's like, yeah, sure. That'll work real wonders. Can you imagine she put her name Ray Ren or something stupid like that? It's like, what? Why would you do that? That'd be horrible. Just call her Ray. I'm just Ray. That'd been fine.
To the next thing. And I want stories that are thematically rich, not merely referential. So this is probably making things sound worse than they are.
What is a thematically rich story? Does anyone know? Any definition out there you could wrap your brain around?
Rich in themes.
It just seems as though like Just Right likes messages that likes movies that have a good message, a progressive message. Like he hates the fact that Game of Thrones season 8 seems to push the agenda of women are just too emotional to rule and just go crazy. You should have a guy ruling.
I don't think that's the message of the film. I think that's kind of stupid.
Yeah. David Benioff is a worse example of a nihilist than Rian Johnson. He literally believes in nothing except for I need to make an original thing, even though most of my stuff is adaptation, like X-Men Origins Wolverine and Troy and 25th Hour and Game of Thrones.
I just want to know what his definitions of themes are. So when he says stuff like this, I know what he's talking about. themes are one of the more...
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they're the most nebulous. They're just the most gray. You're like, what are you talking about exactly? Like, you can go anywhere with saying a theme is this or that. So I need to know what he's talking about before he starts making these accusations of, I wish things were more like X. You're like, what's X? What are you talking about?
I don't think J.J. Abrams makes terrible movies. I think he makes passable blockbusters. I've liked a few of them. I just haven't loved any of them. For me, they're riddled with 1,000 little problems that give his movies a bad aftertaste. With this one, I'm coming into it as someone who really loved The Last Jedi. But I also wanted to judge it with an open mind, even if it changed things I liked from the last movie or didn't follow up on stories and themes that I wanted to see. But for all of the reasons we've talked about so far, I find The Rise of Skywalker barely passable as its own movie. It's the fact that this is also the conclusion to a long-running narrative.
But it's not supposed to be on its own. It's supposed to be a trilogy.
Story threads I was invested in and I'm disappointed by. Part 4, Finn Poe. Since their introduction in The Force Awakens, fan communities have speculated about whether or not Finn and Poe would end up in a relationship.
Who cares?
This is not set up. They're just friends. That like throughout the entire thing, they're just set up as friends.
This is another Maggie May Fish moment, guys. Here we go.
Oh, please don't tell me he's... Oh no, I was upset they didn't ship my characters. Oh no.
It'd be the first homosexual romance in Star Wars. And every
But it's not set up and it doesn't matter.
And especially Oscar Isaac made seemed to support this. This movie being the last time we were guaranteed.
What do you mean? Where? Please show me where this is supported at all. There is no Finn Poe at all. It's non-existent. It's only what you bloody shippers have just made up in your mind because you see two friends and think, oh look, they must be gay. Let's have them fuck.
They get along well. They must be gay.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. Hey, here's two friends. Obviously, they must be gay.
Yeah, that's what they think.
I mean, it's a go-to comment because they don't really need to be in the film, so have them do something, I guess. That's the obvious one.
But he's talking about a plot line which wasn't seen through to the end. And that's what he's going over here. Plot lines which weren't continued or ended in a way that he liked.
Well, I think this never existed, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what we're on about.
Yeah.
Actually, there was School of Movies actually weirdly talked about this, of how they wanted Finn and Poe to be shipped. There was even like a thing called Storm Pilot was the official shipper name. Kid you not, fanfic. It's so stupid.
All right, well, let's see this chapter or act of his video through. Let's see what he has to say.
Guaranteed to see them together meant that they had to make the call about whether or not to make this an explicit part of the movie.
No.
And given that the movie is so concerned with validating every portion of its audience, it feels like a glaring exception. In fact, the movie...
Oh, give me a break. Oh, obviously, they should have been an item. It's like, no. Because the audience might have thought that? What? They have a bromance, therefore they should have sex. Excuse me. No, that's stupid.
Yeah, that is pretty stupid.
They're really close friends and war buddies. Why don't they have sex? Like, no. No one. Anyone who thinks this, you're watching the wrong movie. Okay?
I got nothing wrong with the idea of them being gay, but it's not something that was ever, expressed as a thing throughout the films. Yes, it would be cool if they had been like an on-screen gay relationship, but you can't just pull that out of nowhere at the 2-hour, 30-minute mark of the last film and be like, yeah, they're gay, yeah, they kiss.
Is this
if you wanted an actual if you wanted to create a story where these two characters, let's say from the very beginning of Force Awakens, they were growing these two characters to be in a gay relationship, that would be fine. But they weren't growing these two characters to be in a gay relationship, they were growing them to have a friendship.
Is this the same problem with Just Right's progressive notions? Like, he wants to fill in as many gaps or as many boxes as he wants because some people might have thought this way. Oh, it's progressive. Let's get a homosexual relationship. It's like, let's do that. Like, why? Everyone wanted it. It's like, no, just you.
And some weirdos like Alex Shaw.
Fanfic writers and what have you.
Probably Maggie May Fish.
Well, Maggie Mae Fish wants all kinds of things, but the workings of her mind and reality are very two different things. So, okay, let's sort of get through this one.
Movie goes out of depicting the characters as aggressively straight. Both characters sort of get girlfriends in this movie. Poe meets up with old flame Zori Bliss, and Finn bonds with Jannah. Now, if you were thinking during my whole no scenes, just plot spiel, but what about that scene with Poe and Zori up on the rooftop? Or that one between Finn and Jannah where they talk about defecting from the First Order? Yes, those are some of the only times the movie slows down long enough to have two characters talk about their feelings. But given how little either character is in the movie, it's basically wasted time. It's time that could have been spent developing Poe and Finn's relationship. They spend the whole movie together.
Oh, come on! Oh, no! But this would be the exact same thing. This would be the exact same.
No, this isn't just about
if they. So, okay, developing a relationship between these two characters is the exact same as doing a relationship between these two male characters. You're just doing it with existing characters rather than making new ones, and it uses about the same amount of time. So what's the point? It's like, oh, your argument is, oh, because it would save time, let's make these characters gay.
Here's a Bogue. Thanks, Bogue, from Mexico. Finn kept nagging Poe during The Rise of Skywalker like they've been dating for months. If they came out as a couple in the end, it would not have shocked me. Poe was nagging everyone. He was nagging Rey. He was just that kind of guy.
I was like an entirely different character in this film from being the upbeat hotshot pilot that he was in The Force Awakens, and he's a fucking grump this entire film. Hey, is Poe in a bad mood? And Finn's like, oh, always.
He's always in a bad mood.
Always. Since fucking when?
It just seems like he's a different character in every movie. Of the trilogy.
Well, that's because of The Last Jedi screwing everything up. So you have certain people to blame for that one. And JJ going, whoa, what am I doing? I have to work off what?
Good old Roundhead.
Yeah.
How we hate you.
Here's Mr. M again. Thank you, sir. This reminds me of Mass Effect 3. Male Shep is suddenly gay for Caden because reasons. Yeah, I know. They made him technically heterosexual in Mass Effect 1. Nothing to do with homosexuality in Mass Effect 2 for male Shepard. And then all because BioWare wants to be inclusive, make him gay for Caden in Mass Effect 3. Because why not? Player choice, right? Make the 1% or whatever the percentage of people who actually wanted this happy. And I'm like, fine, you want to make your audience happy. I totally understand. Just don't ruin the character. And that's what they did. So
then again, with Caden, there isn't much character to ruin.
Caden is, how I was about to describe him like Chakotay. Chakotay is just the nice guy. He's boring. There's nothing special. He boxes in season 5 or 6. We learn about his hobby, 5 years later. So
I love how the fact that the actor who played Chakotay was kind of really pissed with the writers of the show, so he intended just to make his act even worse.
He was so drab and boring, and it's just you see Caden, it's like the same sort of nice guy doing my job. I'm always doing things right, and you think this is the guy who joined a rebel group. Like, what the hell is happening here? How are these rebels so nice? They get integrated into the ship so well and easily. There's barely any conflict. It's like, come on. Writers?
Well, they have some conflict at the beginning of the show, and then they just kind of drop it.
The first episode, maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, they have like a Maquis rebellion at one point, and
yeah,
they have
that's
a single episode with the Maquis struggling to blend in with the staff.
That's B'Elanna getting angry. Like, she always gets angry. That's her whole character. She gets angry because she's Klingon. What else? Seska was good. That was a good female character. She was a good villain. But other than that, Voyager Chakotay was just plain boring as Caden. So anyway, let's not jump too many stories over here. Bogue again, thank you. Then again, I was asleep for half the movie, so it's not like I was invested at all in the train wreck. Best sleep I had, though, would recommend. That's great. It's like gray noise that puts you to sleep so easily. Play The Rise of Skywalker. Okay.
Old Vogue, our resident degenerate.
Yeah, just when I go to sleep, just put this in the background music, and you'll be great.
Just about appeasing fans who shipped the characters. And no, it's not just about having more diversity in the film.
Yes,
although
it
is also about that. But I think it would have made
it's not about
this
that, but it's also about
movie
that.
A tangibly better movie. A stronger
What do you mean
story.
it's not about how?
It's a stronger story because there's a relationship between the side characters? No. Why? What does that have to do with the story? Tell us.
A tangibly better story and also more diversity, but then it's just not about just having more diversity.
That's like saying, hey, you know what, Poe? I want a sex change. That would be more diverse. What would that add to the story? Nothing. Hey, Poe, I want to go live in an alien part of the world. It's like, okay. Immigration, wow.
It's not even their story. It's freaking Rey's. And that's one of the biggest problems.
It's silly. This is a silly argument, and he's completely blinded by his bias. This is what happens with ideologues. I don't know if Just Right is one of those characters, but he certainly has a progressive agenda to say stuff like this.
Oh, yes, he does. He definitely does. His thing is rife with how it's problematic from a progressivist standpoint. And that's one of the reasons why he hates it. Even though, like he says, like one of the things he says is, like, lineage. Like having Jon Snow is problematic because it has a lot of uncomfortable things relating to lineage and bloodlines.
Yeah, but that's George R.R. I mean, he's always very detailed for breaking taboos and all sorts of gory stuff. That's why people read his stuff. It's very visceral. It's very adult. It's fantasy. Very light magic. It's realistic. That's why people like it. And there's all sorts of plots and intrigue and characters. It's if you like characters, George R.R. is the guy to go for because he has so many, and there's so many stories, and you can barely keep up with what's going on. So that's why.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. M again. By this logic, let's give Finn a waifu body pillow to enhance the plot. Yeah, it's just like, Finn wears a pink hat. Pink hats are so progressive or whatever, accepting of female body parts or what have you. It's like, why? You don't need to put this crap in there. It's not part of the story, guys. Who cares if he likes guys or girls or slaves or whatever? It doesn't matter.
Imagine this movie's version of this scene, but it's Finn and Poe. It's fresh material for a Star Wars story, and it would have been thrilling to see these characters explore those emotions.
I like this thing. I wish it was in there. Dude, you're a shipper.
Yeah, it's just like, I like this scene and I would have liked it in there.
Ironically, he's asking, considering we have these films which take, well, I would say steal so much from the original trilogy, I wish it stole a little bit more from the original trilogy. I wish we had this scene on the Falcon.
Two guys.
But instead of being between a man and a woman, it was about two men.
You know, it'd been really great if they all just started cooking steak and had a barbecue for 10 minutes. That would make the movie so much better.
Rey's just cooking the all of the burgers with like a lightsaber, cooking a couple of bantha steaks.
Because steaks are amazing and everyone needs to eat. Why don't enough people eat and start? They never take the time to eat and digest and enjoy a good.
We have never seen a toilet in Star Wars, and I think that would really improve Star Wars as a media.
Somebody's totally going to say we are comparing Star Wars, like gay relationships in Star Wars, to wanting to see toilets in Star Wars. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, pick any progressive ideology or thing they're fighting for, and just throw it in this argument. Like, yeah, women's rights. Why didn't Poe just start talking about women's rights in the sci-fi universe? Why not? It's more. I would have liked it. It would have given him his
Why
character
can't
more
they make
depth.
Poe transgender.
Yeah. Why does he want to get a sex? Why does he want to have multiple genders? Why can't he do that? That'd be great.
Also, just wait till he talks about Rose.
All right, let's keep going. John Lemley, thank you, sir. How sexist and racist of Just Right to want Finn to be with Poe, a white man over Rose Tico, an Asian female winner defender of what is loved.
Well, technically, Poe is on the diversity counter since he's Hispanic.
Yeah, but he's a man.
True, it has to be Latino women. I learned this from Terminator Dark Fate.
All right, let's keep going.
And at the very least, just have something to do during the film. Instead, there's a blinking...
This is his argument. They have to do stuff. Something. Do anything, Poe and Finn, therefore better... Yeah, no shit.
Do each other.
Thanks, Just Right. They need to do stuff to make a better film. Are you... This is what he... Let's just rewind that. Come on.
But it's Finn and Poe. It's fresh material for a Star Wars story, and it would have been thrilling to see these characters explore those emotions, and at the very least, just have something to do during the film. Instead, there's a blinking you'll miss it same-sex kiss.
They have something to do.
There's no time. He has to A, fix Ryan's mess, and B, finish the mess. Yeah, just J.J. Abrams is a terrible writer, but his major weak point is he cannot write endings to save his life.
This is true. I am
He
aware
just writes...
of Lost. Yes, I'm aware of it. I haven't watched it, but I know of it.
Also, like, Star Trek Into Darkness has this big problem where it's like a bunch of mystery boxes and the ending is terrible. You need...
Wait, is there a lot of mystery boxes Into Darkness? I didn't think there was.
Oh, well, Khan himself and his special blood.
No, but a mystery box is like not having a mystery with nothing inside it. That's a mystery box. So that it's a mystery with no payoff.
True.
Anyway,
it's just like he likes having mysteries, but I guess maybe he's referring more towards TV stuff. But
yeah, if I gave him like 10 minutes talking about the mystery and the necessity for mystery in a plot, I think I would probably help him out. But whether he'd understand it enough, I don't know. But anyway, let's keep going. If you guys are tired, we could always stop because this is getting kind of silly. But we can always continue.
No, we keep going for the next 10 minutes.
All right.
Well, I'm heading off to bed. Your boy needs some sleepies.
All right, voice. Thanks for tuning in, man.
You guys got this. Take him down.
Okay.
While he's weak.
He's not exactly difficult.
All righty. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Enjoy. Good night, chat. Come check out my channel for goofs and gaffs and a really long video. And I'll see you all next time.
All right.
you next time, boys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Okay. Let's keep on trucking.
This at the end between two characters who you don't know.
So it is
been edited.
So it is
out for
about
Singapore.
diversity then.
Of two great characters.
Yes.
It is about diversity.
Yep. There's no other.
He said before, it's not about diversity, but it is about diversity. But it's also about diversity.
Yeah.
Let's rewind a little bit so we get the full context of what
okay, so the thing is, though, that is not a quality of a film. Just having diversity is not an objective quality. It's objectively there. And you can say, oh, well, it's good diverse because of these political reasons. But when you're talking about writing, the race and gender of a character usually doesn't contribute much, if anything, toward the writing of a film. Because we're talking about them as people and not about as a race or a gender.
And we don't judge them based off their sexuality. We don't care. This is not a porno. We're not concerned with their sexuality unless that's the topic of, or that's the focus of the story. That's not why we're here.
It's just the choice of the author. It's not, or the writer. It's not have anything to do with the author's skill. It's just the author chose to do this. It's just a choice. It's not the writer gets points for doing this.
It's
That's
neither
stupid.
good nor bad. Sure, they should have been more involved in the story in any capacity, not necessarily this one for the sake of I want it because I like it. That's silly. Here we go. John Lemley, I think every single one of every other one of your super chats are X is a social construct. the best response to all of these people, yeah, it's just a social construct. It's not real.
Relationships is a social construct. Deal with it.
All right, let's keep going.
But it's Finn and Poe. It's fresh material for a Star Wars story, and it would have been thrilling to see these characters explore those emotions and at the very least just have something to do during the film. Instead, there's a blink and you'll miss it same-sex kiss at the end between two characters who you don't know that's been edited out for Singapore. What a waste of two great characters and two incredible
two
Part
very
5. Rose.
characters
After
with
the release
nothing
of The
there
Last Jedi,
already.
an incredible amount of racist and sexist vitriol was directed against Kelly Marie Tran, who plays the character
Twitter,
of Rose Tico. So much so that she eventually deleted her social media.
Yeah, I don't think we need to
accounts
talk
and
about
wrote
the
an op-ed
harassment
in
thing,
the
as
New
we've
York
talked about it
Times
to death
how the
already.
barrage of abuse affected her. Rose was a main character in the last film, and
Secondary.
a character I wanted to see more of. I literally jump with joy every time I see her. But
Why?
here she is relegated to basically being an extra. In total, she appears on screen.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because she's a Asian woman.
That's stupid.
Yeah, well, like
That is her. Describe her character to me. She's a psycho Asian woman. That's her entire character.
she's a terrible driver.
Hey, look! Out of nowhere, she just apparently you're not allowed to leave the Resistance. Bam! I'm gonna stun electrocute you.
That's a psycho Asian woman, a bad driver. It's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's Alex Shaw, like, love her because like she's an example of like a small character who lives behind pipes. She's basically like she's kind of the same function in Star Wars as like the hobbits in Lord of the Rings. Like they're the small creatures that. Kid you not, Alex Shaw is an idiot. He thinks this up.
Obviously, small people are a race. This is Game of Thrones.
Yeah, all we need is some like chicken fried rice or something. Oh, yep, Asian lady. There we go. That's all she is. All right, Dead Slash, thank you, sir. One more capitalism bad, chat. I've been rewatching Babylon 5. Fantastic. First time since transmission. I forgot how good it is. You could do something on that to show how good characters, politics, etc. in the story. Yeah, we were about to do this, talking about, was it Renegade Cut's version or his liking of Voyager. And one of my conversations with Shiny was with Voyager. It started around, I think, the second season of Babylon 5. So all this science fiction's on TV in the late 90s, right? So you're watching all these shows. And Babylon 5 is just crushing them all in terms of storytelling. It is redefining how we watch science fiction on TV. So when you have a story that's 5 years long, that's an overarching plot line, and then you go back to Star Trek, which is mostly episodic, aside from DS9 and some episodes of Enterprise and what have you, it's a huge change. That's nothing to say that episodic storytelling is bad. It just doesn't have as many elements and development and payoffs as an overarching plot line does. That spans years.
Another issue is that it just doesn't feel like as fulfilling. Like episodic story is just, oh, it's cool. There's a little bit of build up. When you have something that's more like form, the payoffs
kind of depends. So no, it depends because there are so many good series which can do it suits serialized storytelling brilliantly, and there are other series which suit episodic storytelling brilliantly. And there's something to be said for there's a market for short, contained stories, and there's a market for long-form storytelling.
I agree.
And the both of them could be done brilliantly. The thing about long-form storytelling, if you're going to do this big, long story over your entire series, it needs to be good. But when it comes to episodic storytelling, if you have one terrible episode, you can just go to the next one and they'll be telling a different story.
Right. I agree.
And you can have these little stories which talk about different things, or you could have a big long story which only has one idea, and it's just it's the type of story you want to tell, and it isn't one media is better than the other, because there are some point to lots of media that is episodic, which is better than this serialized, and there's this serialized which is better than that episodic.
I would argue that DS9 in its later seasons became more focused on the overarching plot, and that's why it became good. So
DS9 is a bit of a hybrid, as it has these overarching stories while also having self-contained episodes at the same time.
It starts off
they'll have their own contained story, and then they'll also be building the big arc along the side of that small story to then continue in the next episode, which then leads into another episode, which is the big arc of the series.
It's quite interesting comparing Babylon 5 to DS9. They're very similar. They have like a Jesus character in each who comes to the station and takes on the mantle, and then with Star Trek, it sort of meanders for the first 2-3 seasons, and then it finally builds up 5, 6, and 7. That's when the war is up. Religion comes into play more. Old villains come back. This is all part of an arc. It's not just one episode. This happens and they jump to. Yeah. They sort of do that also in episode or in season 6 and 7 too, but that's because of the nature of the story. With Babylon 5, they do have episodic storytelling, but it's always connected loosely to the main plot, and then they keep bringing it up. It slowly keeps more developing, and more characters come into focus on that. The war between the last ones and all these other species coming together, the fight in it. So it really brings everything together, which is difficult to do. And in order to do that, you have to be a writer. You have to have a singular vision. And that's the beauty of J. Michael Straczynski, as opposed to, well, the many, many writers of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, as well as Voyager. Not to say there weren't other writers on Babylon 5. Of course there were others. But he was writing pretty much a novel every 4 months. And then that was for like 5 years. So like that's just what it takes. You have to a good writer dedicating themselves to knowing what they're doing, being in full control, handing off one episode to Neil Gaiman or some other sci-fi writer and, coming back. That's what it takes. So you can do these things. But you have, as Shiny said, you have to know. It doesn't matter if it's episodic or otherwise. You have to know what you're doing.
It's a style choice for depending on what's better for the story you're trying to tell.
And the same, I could say the exact opposite with Crusade, because that was as a result of producer interference from the production company, that he didn't have full creative control. Therefore, all these episodes got told out of sequence. They had to redo their costumes. They had to do all this other bullshit, which caused this story to suck. So great premise, great idea. It's basically D&D in space. You got the wizard, you got the thief, you got the paladin, but they just screwed it all up with execution. So it can go badly.
Yeah, and kind of an example of like kind of semi-episodic storytelling is actually Redwall, where each book is a self-contained story, but you can kind of follow a long-running timeline with the books. If you start at Lord Brocktree and go to the end, which is the Rogue Crew.
Very similar to the Shannara series, very long-running series. Lots of different children of heroes we've heard from previous books. So lots of older elves and what have you still alive. So yeah, it's a lot of heavy-duty magic, though. There's a very hard magic system in there to... That's why people love it. It's ongoing. It gets developed. There's more characters to interpret the magic. It's not just dragons and elves running around. Okay, John Lemley. But Shiny, she told us how we win, so she's automatically the best character of all the sequels since she actually told us something. I know. You need, in The Last Jedi, the story or the characters to tell us what's happening. Like... Yoda telling us the theme. It's like, thanks, Yoda.
Theme. Let's slap you over the face with a theme.
Like, gee, now I know that we learned from failure. Oh, wow. That's what the movie's about.
How would I possibly know what the story was about if I didn't whack it at you in the face?
Well,
to mention that, learning from your mistakes is just a basic thing to do in storytelling, and it's been done many times without even needing to make it a theme.
So whenever you hear a reference, well, how do you know that the story is actually about learning from your mistakes? Yoda said so. It's like, yeah, no shit, because if he didn't, you had no idea what the hell the movie was about. It's about killing your past. No, that's what the villain wants. What's the theme of Last Jedi, guys? What does Yoda say? Yeah, okay.
Does the Yoda say?
The Yoda goes. I tried to Yoda laugh. That was terrible.
It's okay.
That's even worse. No.
Shiny like no.
I gave it a go, and I knew I wasn't going to do it right.
John Lemley again. Is it really a theme and not a general plot point if you just keep hearing it? It depends on their definition, really. If they don't know what these terms mean, it's anyone's guess with these people when they explain themselves why they like or dislike something is just like, oh, I like the characterization of the porgs. You're like, what are you talking about? What porgs have character? They're a bunch of birds jumping around and making noise. That's about it. That's all they do.
Bunch of creepy puffin looking things.
Yeah. So if you don't know the definition of theme, again, this is my definition, but you could use your own. It's what the story is about. And usually stories are about conflict. So it's the major conflict of a story, if a major theme. If there's other themes, minor themes. So there's a major theme and a minor theme. So 34% of a film is its major theme. 33%, twice over, are the minor themes, if there's two minor themes. So that's it. That's all it is. That's all a theme is. Very simple. So man versus man is a generic theme, and you say Luke versus Vader is the main theme, or if that's the main content, or the main conflict of the film, or the story, rather.
Yeah, I think we have some super chats.
Oh, another one, John Lemley. Shiny, do the Yoda Lego death sound. The what? What's
this.
What's
that?
All I heard was a 1 second burst of meh.
Yeah, it's this. 1 sec.
Oh,
that's it.
Okay.
It's the death sound from Lego Yoda. And I can't make that sound. I don't know how they made the original sound. It's a meme. That's not even close.
All right, let's keep going. We can stop here if you guys are tired, because this is kind of exhausting. Just right is like blah blah blah.
I have a lot of stamina.
All right, okay.
Stamina as well.
All right, we can keep going.
Yeah.
Appears on screen for 1 minute and 16 seconds. The most charitable interpretation of this is that JJ was just uninterested in her as a character, or that he didn't know what to do with her, or that they thought the audiences didn't.
Is he going to say JJ's racist? Is he going to say JJ's racist?
You can't make that decision without knowing about the bigoted nature of the backlash against Kelly Marie Tran. So it just feels like Disney has shamelessly capitulated to the worst part of the audience.
No.
And that part of the audience will certainly interpret it that way. It sucks, and I hate it. It's also disappointing because there was such an obvious...
Things that happen in reality do not necessarily translate to the writer's brain. This is stupid.
They could also be listening to... I think JJ was listening to a lot of the feedback to that film.
Sure,
trying to do anything. So, he would probably say that, oh, yeah, this wasn't a good part of that film. Put it to the side. I wouldn't say it's specifically because of the harassment outside of the film.
Yeah, but to argue he's capitulating to these people
I have
is
to use
silly.
harassments with quotation marks, because we don't know how many... was this wasn't by a majority of the fandom by any means, and even if it was, let's say 1,000 people did this, it would look like a very major harassment. But the thing is, 1,000 people is nothing. It's not even a drop in the bucket of the Star Wars fandom. So you're looking at so many people. A very, very small percentage of them is going to actually be toxic, and then you're trying to project this one tiny toxic element onto an entire fandom.
It's a silly argument to say that the writer is thinking a certain way when he did it. We wrote a character a certain way. That's like, who cares? Who cares what was going through his head when he wrote this? That's silly. The one thing we can't say he was capitulating towards was, or one of the arguments was, where's Rey's training? And then they give us a scene of Rey training. We're like, wait, this is too late. You're supposed to do this in the first film, JJ, not the last.
The sequence of events has been utterly destroyed.
Maybe if you show us why she's training, what she's trying to do, great. But she's just like throwing her lightsaber around and cutting trees and jumping around. It's like, it's an obstacle course. What the hell is this? She can move a mountain with her hands. Why is she jumping around like a ninny? Have her like fly like Superman or something. Like have her do amazing stuff.
Indeed.
So someone's telling me I need to respond to Caption Midnight's video on the fall of Netflix.
Oh yeah. So I'll point out that he said a black female character, and I can't remember what was the I don't know what the race was of Poe's girlfriend, but he just called them both like useless characters to the story. So isn't that what a lot of people said about Rose Tico? And he's making a similar criticism about these two ladies in saying that, oh, we should have a gay relationship instead of these two.
Any secondary character is going to get, unless they're properly tied into the plot, is going to get the same reaction to people paying attention. It's like, oh, yeah, they're useless. They take them out of the movie, and they're fine. The movie goes along just fine.
And Rose just has the added detriment in terms of she is very annoying and preachy. Yep.
She's annoying. She says stupid stuff. She nearly gets everyone killed. She's a bad character. She doesn't help anyone.
Role for Rose to fill in this movie. Imagine if at the start she went on her own subplot to recruit various planets to come together for the final assault on Exegol.
Yes, this movie needs more stuff. That's exactly what this movie needs. Great idea.
Isn't the film already pretty long?
It's bloated and busy and fat. It's so quick. It's like, no, it needs less stuff.
The problem is there is so much going on, but what's actually going on has so little depth. So you're having so many flashy things in front of your face. You cut down the amount of things and you deepen what the things you already have. Stop digging out a wider pond, a wider lake, when you should be giving the lake depth rather than just having it be a tiny puddle of water.
A long, spread out puddle covers several miles, but has zero to do with anything.
Exactly 2.5 hours or something. But obviously, this film should have been 5 hours long.
It's so long.
Didn't they already have like a very throwaway line thing of Lando goes and recruits the core world, which is where the Infinite Fleet comes in at the end? A fleet which is the biggest fleet we have ever seen on screen and apparently isn't even a military force, despite every single ship in that fleet being a military ship.
It's literally The Mess, Star Wars, or Star Wars The Mess. It's just a cluster of nonsense. And visually, having this giant fleet attack this other giant fleet is okay.
It's not even a good space battle because there's... So, kind of, space battles have a narrative. I think I've said this before, but the space battles have a narrative as they happen. So, it's cause and effect. One thing leads to the other, and you need to be able to follow each event within the battle. It's its own story, in a way. And you cannot follow anything that's happening in this space battle because it's just, hey, here's an X-Wing. Oh, look, here's a Y-Wing. Oh, look, here's a Star Destroyer. And none of these events connect together at all. You can't spot the same Y-Wing. You can't spot the same X-Wing. You can't spot the same ships. Do you know why you can't spot the same ships? Because it's just a mess. It's just it's a huge fleet where all the ships look exactly the same, and there's nothing to distinguish any of them.
And they can't maneuver. They're sitting ducks.
It's a cacophonic series It's a cacophonic sequence of sound and fury that accomplishes.
Also, what was the whole point in like building a fleet underground if it's like you just leave them in atmosphere for a while? It's like, why wouldn't you just build them in space like every other ship was built before? Unless they buried them under the ground, but then they're just getting a tangent again.
So that's what doesn't make sense. If they were under the ground and they came up above the ground, don't they already know what way is up?
Yeah. Why do they need another ship to tell them which way is up?
It's like we just came
We've
down.
Seen ships leave atmosphere incredibly quickly. The Millennium Falcon, in fact, it's even in Disney Star Wars. There is a Star Destroyer which leaves the atmosphere pretty quickly when it's hovering over that one place in Rogue One. So they can go upwards pretty fast, unless they're trying to say that it's slower than the fucking Saturn rocket.
It's like we were underground for years and years building the ship. I think we know what way gravity works. It's like, yeah.
And it's like, why do they just keep them parked in the atmosphere when there is a lot of space outside? And I love the argument someone tried to make to me. They said, oh, they can't send the ships into space because of the cloud. It's like the cloud is fucking light years away. You see them hyperspace in the planet. It's like, no, but they can't leave the planet because of the cloud. What do you mean because of the cloud?
Wait,
the cloud's
how can you even have...
It's not even surrounding the planet.
How can you have a space battle where the other side, like any tactic or strategy, when the other side is completely immobile? Like, what is going...
I mean, a certain bay by... not to speak specifically. Maybe Pearl Harbor.
Michael Bay is terrible.
Like, they're all sitting ducks. They just sit there. They're like, okay. All right. Can't maneuver.
It's like, yes, we'll call attention to ourselves and broadcast to the galaxy while we spend half an hour sailing our ships through the atmosphere.
You think they would be around, like, flying through space, blowing stuff up? It's like, no, we'll just send one out. Just one. Anyway, let's keep going. We're going to be here for a while.
Fuck knows what happened to that one. It's got the power of a Death Star, but why worry about what's happening with that?
Yeah, attack the weak point. It blows everything up. It's like, what?
I still can't get over the fact that these are Death Star destroyers.
It has the exact same design flaw, only worse. The thing that shoots the thing that blows up planets, yeah, attack that. They'll destroy the entire ship.
Also, like, shields don't work in atmosphere. Really?
Okay, so the thing is, that has actually been a part of Star Wars lore for a very long time, but I don't think that's something... I think JJ didn't know about the lore. He just said, oh, look, let's just have the shields be down. And the reason why it's rationalized that shields cannot work... Well, it's not that shields don't work in atmosphere. It's that a very large ship, specifically Star Destroyers, because of their huge size, they spend so much power just making sure that the ship is staying level. They can't activate their shields. And that is a rationale which works for me, but it just makes me question, why are they keeping it in atmosphere if they're incredibly vulnerable? And they're just sitting there for the entire film. From the beginning of the film, they leave, they go out, and then they just sit there, vulnerable, while calling attention to themselves by broadcasting to the galaxy.
All right, let's keep going. Hit the 1/3 mark or the 2/3 mark.
In the last movie, she's the one who explains why the Resistance is morally superior to the First Order. She's responsible
because capitalism.
Capitalism bad. Yes, moral grandstanding. That's exactly what makes a good protagonist.
Also, inaccurate moral grandstanding. Here's the issue with how Rose presents this. Rose is saying that this is the fault of the First Order. No. Cantobai is the Republic and the Resistance's fault. It's been allowed to stay there.
The whole thing that she's making a point of is that these people sell weapons to the bad guys, therefore they are evil, and apparently there's no other way to get rich. There isn't possibly a way to get rich to live here other than if you sell weapons. It's like, no, there are plenty of ways. I mean, Apple, Steve Jobs, I imagine he would be wealthy enough to go here. Bill Gates be, he made a lot of money not selling weapons. The guy in China who became a billionaire by selling doors, I'm pretty sure he could afford sitting here without selling weapons. And that's the whole logic. And it's like, everyone here is evil because you can only be here if you sell weapons.
But doesn't DJ contradict this later on in the film? It's like, no,
it's like, oh, but they sold weapons to the resistance as well. Though in the law, that's a contradiction because they didn't sell the weapons and the vehicles that the resistance has. They're old vehicles which have been bought from the New Republic, or at least been given to them by the New Republic. So that doesn't make sense that they're buying these old ships from them when they're being given it.
So Just Right is taking a particular message, which is contradicted later on by another character, just because Rose Tico says it, even though the film is telling us, no, they're not morally superior. They sell to everyone. They don't care. It's just business.
Yeah, but a lot of people like to just ignore that fact.
Yep.
It's like, did you watch the same film? I hate saying this, but do you ever watch these films Just Right? Or just find the thing you like and just focus on that and forget everything else?
We know Jonathan McIntosh doesn't watch the films.
This is a film about male chauvinism and patriarchy because there's men in it. It's like, what? No.
This is an amazing piece of feminist art because the women question the men on their bad behavior.
Ooh.
For making Finn less selfish and into a resistance fighter. She's the obvious pick for the character who needs to explain to skeptical world leaders why they absolutely need to join the fight. And seeing her evolve from an insecure mechanic into a confident diplomat could have been a great character arc.
Okay, so instead of having Lando come in and I don't know what the hell he did to get it.
He called in a lot of people he slept with, and it's like, hey, look, I slept with you once. Do you want to come help me? So, oh yeah, sure, I'll come help you. But
we need Rose Tico to do the job of Lando.
Yeah. The quintessential point of an arc is that it has a logical through line, and what defines an arc's quality is how much it makes sense in the depth of the arc and how well it's written. And if you just have Rose Tico be, oh look, here she's a mechanic, oh look, here she's now a diplomat, there is no through line, there is no depth to it, it's just she's this, then she's that.
Plus her argument, again, as we said before, is contradicted by DJ. So if the world works the way DJ is explaining it, which as far as we know that's how it works, people are going to say, Rose, darling, we sell to whomever buys, we don't really care. You want to give us money? We'll fight your war. Sure, why not?
Also, another issue is that Finn was a child soldier. He is aware that bad things happen to kids. He's also part of the First Order, even if he is a frickin' janitor, which even that is stupid.
Yeah, and for some reason, in Force Awakens, it's like, oh well, he's actually a janitor. He's not really a stormtrooper. Why did they say that? Again, I can't remember the reason why they just kind of shoved in that he was a janitor. But anyway, because he works in like maintenance and cleaning stuff up, surely he would know that it was actually be the child slaves that would have to go and fix everything.
It doesn't make sense that he's on the front lines as well as a janitor, unless that was like a promotionary thing where he's going to change.
No, but you don't get promoted. Imagine if you're working in the army hires this janitor to clean their holes, and they say, hey, Steve, over there, how about we give you a gun?
Yeah, that's like, wait, how did this happen? Like maybe there's a test you have to take, and this is part of the training.
And I would also agree with what Flint Lockwood said. Why is there a janitor even a position when droids exist? It's like, yeah, you have mouse droids, which, if I remember correctly, they're there to clean floors.
All right. Well, Rose Tico should have been doing the job of Lando. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Ken Kennedy,
then
he
when
said
the ships do
apparently
show up-
it was because they said he knows how to activate the stack of the shields, but they could just say he was positioned there. I don't think a janitor would know how to work shields.
Yeah, he amazingly knows where the shield generator is. He also knows where the particular room of the
Yeah, but they could
super
just say he was stationed there as a
dreadnought,
soldier.
like
it
this-
just means it creates more problems.
It just seems like it was the setup for a joke where he just says, Han, he says to Han, I worked sanitation. And Han just grabs him and says, "Sanitation?" It just seems like it's just a joke.
Yeah, because
They
he
just
was
wanted to
lying
make-
about being kind of a big deal. He's trying to show how awesome he is to Han, and then he's like, "No, I'm just a janitor." That's it. And then all of a sudden, he knows the actual location of where this relay machine is in this super dreadnought that he's never been on, apparently, or has been on. You know, this guy gets around as a janitor. Holy crap!
Surely this guy. He's like the. Have you ever seen like the Lego Star Wars Jar Jar janitor kind of thing, where the janitor just ends up being everywhere? That must have been Finn.
Oh, really?
But it's like apparently he worked on the Supremacy, but he doesn't. He knows about the hyperspace tracker, but like he never told anyone. It feels more like it's just shoved in there to say, "Hey, look, we need Finn. Let's just put it in here." And
Yeah,
it makes sense. Totally, no, it doesn't make sense. It
When
doesn't.
you're doing science fiction and you're inventing new objects or technology in a lore that you're borrowing, you really have to know what you're doing. And I don't think Ryan cared. I don't think he gave a shit about science fiction or how to do it in order to make it believable. Because you can't just say, okay, we're going to invent hyperspace tracking, we're going to invent hyperspeed ramming, we're going to be doing, force, we're going to reinvent how the force is used, we're going to reinvent how force ghosts work. He's just doing so much in that film. You're just like, no, stop screwing things up. Do one thing and do it right. That's enough.
Do one thing that isn't terrible or asinine or devoid of intelligence.
I think seeing Leia for the first time flying through space was enough. Like, whoa, that's too much. Too far. But he just kept going. Like he was pressing all the buttons on a keyboard or something. Like, oh, I'm going to press all the buttons. Like, no. Stop it. Okay. Let's keep going.
It would actually have been earned. This movie has one of the least affecting reinforcement save the day moments. It feels completely out of the blue. So with Rose, it's not just about rejecting racism and sexism,
What?
although it is that.
What are you talking
It also
about?
would have made
It's
the
not
story
just
better.
about-
Part 6. How
What is that? What does this have anything to do with Rose?
Well, what does Rose have to do with rejecting racism and sexism?
She's going to do the same thing that Londo does to go get help? What? How does... Okay, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. We're just going to forget that. We'll just keep going. Everything's great. We're good.
He didn't say anything.
not to write a redemption story. This section has spoilers for Harry Potter and Avatar: The Last Airbender, so you can skip to this.
Is he going to bring up
if you want to
Zuko?
avoid
Please don't
that.
tell me he brings
Going
up
into this
Zuko.
movie, I didn't think Kylo Ren should be redeemed. Part of my reasoning for that is that it is the obvious conclusion for his character from the very first moment that he appears in The Force Awakens. He's the Vader of this trilogy. Vader was redeemed, therefore Kylo will be redeemed. The Last Jedi changed that. The film tries as hard as is humanly possible to close the door on a redemption narrative for this character. Kylo turns down a chance at redemption, continues down the path of anger, and ends the film on a genocidal rant.
I'll destroy her, and you, and all of it.
Plus, as an audience, we know that he's the equivalent of a school shooter in this universe, right? I mean, that's something...
No.
Then
we
again,
didn't know
Vader
about Vader
also,
when-
you know, killed younglings and did the genocide of an entire order of Guardians of the Galaxy.
He is not the equivalent of a school shooter. That is, you're comparing a
that's quite
man
benign.
who's in a galactic empire, controlling legions of men and starships, and he has telekinetic powers. I think we're beyond the concept of normalcy right now. But okay, let's go with this analogy.
first watched his redemption. So Kylo is just an infinitely more villainous character than Vader was in the original films.
Really? More than Vader? The guy he's sucking up to be the entire time. He's more of a villain than Vader, really? Okay, I mean, I always saw him as the guy trying to be Vader and never getting there. He killed a few guys, that's true. Some of his own guys in this room right here. Vader killed, like, geez, how many people? Scores of men? Like, how would you measure that?
People.
Planets? Entire species? I don't know. Like, you just... Oh, jeez. Okay, let's just keep going.
Yeah, there's a difference between basically a war criminal and a school shooter. And I think there definitely could have been room for like a Kylo Ren redemption story, but because he is essentially just Vader copied and paste, but he's nowhere near as bad as Vader was. Like nowhere near as evil as Vader. He's a wimpy little shit. He's a little bitch.
Yes. Redeeming him should take more work than it took for Vader. He should have to atone and work to heal the galaxy that he's torn apart, not just help Rey. Sacrificial death isn't enough. But lacking that, it should at least be crystal clear why he is choosing to be good again. In Return of the Jedi, there is one singular reason why Vader redeemed himself. He loves his son. In Harry Potter, there is one singular reason why Snape redeems himself. He's in love with Lily. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, there is one singular reason why Zuko redeems himself. He realizes his father's reign is immoral. There is very clear dramatic intent.
No, because he realizes that this entire time
those subplots are wrapped up in this.
Is there any point to arguing with this guy? I honestly don't know if there is any point. But the whole thing about Zuko is about honor, and he believes that the only way for him to regain his honor is to find the Avatar and give it to his father. And he then as he explores the world, because he's been ousted by the Fire Nation, and he's on the run from the Fire Nation now. He then finds all these people that the Fire Nation has wronged, and he realizes, oh shit, yeah, this is actually quite bad, and he has conflict within himself. Yeah, it's a great character arc. He's one of the best written characters in that show. And yeah, well, I'd say Kylo Ren should have had some kind of arc. And I think that you can make a very good analogy between how it should have been with Zuko and Big Kylo Ren and the uncles of Luke and fuck, hate myself for forgetting the name of the uncle now.
Uncle Iroh.
Uncle Iroh. God, everyone's gonna hate me for mistaking his name, forgetting his name. But Uncle Iroh, yeah. Like Luke should have been the fun-loving uncle, and Kylo Ren having these problems, and then Luke is the one which helps Kylo Ren through these problems, and he shouldn't have been an antagonist throughout the entire trilogy.
All right. Anyway, let's keep going.
Are wrapped up in this. Love redeems. Love redeems. Honor means more than being loyal to your country. In The Rise of Skywalker, there's like 3 things going on at once. The one I sort of like concerns Leia. So in the last movie, Kylo is all about tearing down the past. In this one, he's changed his tune. He says repeatedly that you can't change your nature and your...
Yeah, I think sorry to pause it again. But I think I agree that Kylo Ren's redemption in this story, it's not good enough. It is nowhere near well written enough to be a proper redemption. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't have had a redemption at some point.
I'm kind of curious if there was. I don't think talking to a memory of your dad is a form of redemption.
Well, but like the story treats it as, oh, he's good now. He's a different person. Kylo Ren is dead, and Ben Solo is back because your mother died, and your father's memory forgave you, and that's actually just you forgiving yourself.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Hey, look, the murder victim, which I stabbed a couple of years back, he came to me in a dream and said he forgave me. After I murdered pretty much was responsible for my mother's death after she committed suicide trying to I don't know. What was Leia even trying to do?
I'm going to lay down now and die. Like, why? How? What's
I'm going to
going
kill
on?
myself with forced suicide.
It's now time in the story to die. Let me just lie down and that I'm dead. Okay, bye.
And they're going to put a sheet over my face so you don't actually see the actor.
What was the cause of her death? Does anyone know? It was just time to die?
It's like it was like she starts walking off, and Maz says, "Oh, Leia knows what she has to do." It's like Maz, she could just be going to the toilet. What the fuck are you on about? It's like, oh yeah, she just goes off. She lays down. She has a force talk or force thing, whatever the hell that was, with Kylo Ren, and then Rey stabs him.
Yay! Wonderful plot development. Woo!
And your nature
Let's
is your
keep
blood.
going
Now, even though it doesn't track from the last movie, you can sort of understand why he'd think that about himself. From his perspective, his father was mediocre and a criminal. His uncle was a phony and an attempted murderer.
My father is mediocre, therefore I'm going to kill him. Okay, that's great.
His grandfather was the second most powerful Dark Lord in the galaxy. There's just one giant blind spot in his assessment of his heritage, and that's Leia. Leia is pure. How can the son of Leia think that villainy is in his blood? We've seen in the last film that Leia is his one weakness, the one bond he's not capable of violently ripping himself away from. So having Leia interrupt his fight with Rey reminds him of the good part of his nature, I guess? Is that why he turns to the light? Or is it because he realizes he's in love with Rey? Or is it...
He didn't turn to the light. He got killed. He died. He had a force vision of his mom dying, and then he died. Then he goes, oh, I'm breathing again. What happened? Oh.
So, oh, Rey, I can't believe you've done this.
He literally got a second life. And he's like, oh, okay.
Might as well use it.
It's like, yeah, I did want to grab your hand. I wanted to grab Ben Solo's hand, despite that's not the character I know.
Ben Solo, like, I don't think that Ben Solo even existed. He was always Kylo Ren, a psychopathic little whiny brat who wants to murder people because he's a sadist.
It's one little bitch, baby.
Wait a second. In the chat, Ken Kaneki is telling me the explanation is Leia created the Han ghost thingy, and that killed her. Like, what?
But she was already no. She was already dead before the thing. Wasn't she? She died, and then that's when Rey stabs Kylo, and then Rey realizes that Leia has died, and then she force heals Kylo, and then after that is when you see the vision, or well, Kylo Ren dreams up Han Solo, and it wouldn't make sense that Leia would be creating a force vision of Han Solo when she wasn't even there, and there's a lot of things mirroring the original scene when Kylo Ren stabs him, because rhymes. And that's the best thing I can come up with for that.
The movie's a mess, and we can talk about this for hours, so we're just going to keep on going with Just Right, okay?
Because he feels guilty about killing his father? The movie's answer is, all of the above. So whatever answer you like best, you just get to have. But this robs the moment of clarity, of a strong message that declares this is what this story is about.
Wait a second. He's arguing clarity is important to a movie? What the hell was The Last Jedi about? What was the plot of The Last Jedi? Can you tell us that just right?
I think that I could only because I have analyzed it very, very carefully.
It's like he's saying, hey, clarity is really important when you're talking about a person's motivation to do this and come back to life and have a vision about guilt, about his killing his dad. Like, okay.
Another issue is kind of just the fact that, like, you having multiple motivations to do something is actually a good thing.
Yes, you need layers of motivation. That's true.
Yeah, but the problem is none of these are stated. Assume them.
He's having an hallucination. He's like, well, you're dreaming a memory of me. It's like, okay, so you're talking to yourself while awake? Is the Force doing this? Are you just... Is this movie magic? What the hell is going on? We have no clue. Like, we have to invent a new Force power. It's called Force projection, I guess. Force psychodynamics. I don't know. Maybe he read some Freud. Like, time to create a dream in the real world. Okay. Gotta talk to my daddy because I killed him. I feel bad. But I don't. After 30 seconds, I'm good now. Okay. Here's John Lemley. So close to the end, yet so far. Yeah, I know. This is getting silly. It's really tiresome. Anyway.
It's just lucky that Adam Driver is such a great actor. All right, let's get to the big one.
I mean, he's a
Part
great
7,
actor, but this is not
headcanon.
a very
Oh,
good
look,
example of his acting
by far
ability.
the clumsiest scene.
Okay, so he literally has a part of his video called headcanon. This is going to be amazing. Anytime you have anything called headcanon, you know, and he's admitting to it. This is a mess. This is just a joke. Okay, let's do it.
In the film is when Kylo Ren reveals that Rey is secretly Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter. There are plenty of reasons for me to not like this. It reeks of more nostalgia bait. Bringing the Emperor back means that 3 of the last 4 movies, chronologically speaking, have scenes where there are 3 Force users in a room and rebels fighting outside. One of the reasons to play this card early in The Last Jedi is to force the next director to come up with something new, but here we are. And of course, most importantly, the twist backpedals on one of the main messages that was so powerful in The Last Jedi, that anyone from anywhere can be...
That wasn't in the film.
But just because
it's
not
just a
the choice
fucking
I was
random
hoping for
message
doesn't
you
make
decide
it
to
a bad
project
choice,
into it.
Necessarily.
Okay, so he dislikes The Rise of Skywalker because it backpedals on a scene in The Last Jedi where Kylo says your parents were nobodies. He doesn't like that because he liked The Last Jedi.
He says the theme... Okay, so one of the really weird themes which people have projected onto this film is the theme that you don't need to have a bloodline to be a Jedi or to be an important character. It's like there are so many important characters in Star Wars which their bloodlines do not matter. And this isn't even a thing in the film. Was all it was. It wasn't a theme, it was a subversion. Rian Johnson wanted to subvert. Oh, you were thinking that Rey had some kind of bloodline. Well, subverted, she actually doesn't. And that was all. It wasn't any kind of theme which people just projected onto it. And now you're upset that J.J. Abrams just came and shat on your supposed theme that wasn't there.
It doesn't say anything about the broom boy, though. He's perfectly fine. He's just some random kid that could use the Force. It's totally acceptable. They're just doing it for the main character.
Yeah, but the thing is about the Force, you need training, and that kid hasn't been trained, so why can he force a broom?
Yeah, but not, as Last Jedi has shown us, you don't. As The Force Awakens has shown us, you don't need training. So it's just Rey's amazing.
Of course.
And I want to try to not dismiss it out of hand. So what's the utility of this twist? From a storytelling perspective, it's to make Rey question whether or not she can still be good. Immediately after the reveal, she's a little more reckless. She's angrier, and Daisy Ridley does a really great job of...
What does he mean, Rey can still be good? A good character? A good-natured?
She is already good.
She is essentially an angel. She has no flaws at all.
John Lemley, thanks again. Shout out to Actually Good Movie, Sunset Boulevard for turning 70 years old. Really? Let me think about that. Oh, geez, you're right.
Dang, it came out in 1990? Really?
70. So we're talking about Marlon Brando, I think. Was he the main actor there? Oh, sorry, that's A Streetcar Named Desire. My apologies. I
might be terrible. I actually heard the best fan casting ever from Marlon Brando, and it's sad that he died before he could do it. He would actually play, if somebody ever decided to do a Donald Trump movie, he would be excellent at playing Mr. Trump.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's all the old black and whites are pretty good. I don't know if you guys get AMC or other stations on wherever you're broadcasting. But there's all sorts of great films from the 60s and 70s. I get them on what the hell's that free streaming service? TiVo? No, it's something else. But they have a whole bunch of old ones. My mom likes them, but she would watch AMC back in the day still, whether it's streaming or not. So all kinds of great films out there, guys. Not just flashy ones with special effects. Anyway.
Yep.
3 more minutes or 4 more minutes.
Portraying her current to her character. I think the twist would work better if they didn't also change how her parents are characterized. The Last Jedi tells us that they are filthy junk traders who sold their daughter off for drinking money. This movie tells us actually they did it all to protect her and were actually good people. The fact that they're good people contradicts the entire argument Kylo is trying to make to her about the dark side being in her blood. I mean, if her parents were good, what does it matter if her grandfather is evil? The "it's in your nature" argument doesn't apply.
Yes, it does apply. If it's in the nature of your genes or your body.
Not the fact that she's actually related to Palpatine. That much I
their father was actually a clone, according to according to like external material. He was a clone, so technically it's not really a grandfather. Biologically, it's actually kind of a father.
Even though it spends Palpatine. That much I could tolerate. It's just a much more convoluted way of trying to communicate the same message that The Last Jedi already did. The movie wants to say that blood doesn't matter, even though it spends so much of its runtime showing how Rey only has power because of who she's related to. Part of me wonders if in 10 or 20 years, when people watch this trilogy already knowing about this twist, just as a lot of people today watch the original trilogy already knowing that Luke is Vader's son, if it will feel like a more natural progression. Like that future audience won't get as hung up on the mystery box elements of this story. But in the here and now, it's a barely functional twist where more is lost than is gained. It does, however, lead into the film's one central theme of being able to choose your own identity. And while I quibbled earlier about the exact name she chooses, I do find meaning in that idea.
Okay, I don't think choosing her identity is a central theme. I really don't think that in The Rise of Skywalker. That's one scene right at the end. To say that's a theme is like...
It's putting a bad name to the word theme. It's barely even a motif.
It's literally a scene in the movie and the movie ends. That's not a theme. That's not the message. That's not the conflict. That's not the main content of the film. That's not what a theme is. I don't know what this guy thinks what a theme is. He keeps using the word theme. It's everything. It's like a brush. You just paint it over everything. It's a theme.
Everything's a theme.
It's getting silly now.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the headcanon chapter, so he could say whatever the hell he wants. It doesn't make any sense.
Who would have thought a critique of The Rise of Skywalker would be one of the most nonsensical things we've ever, pseudo-intellectual BS things that we've ever watched?
All he had to say...
Miss Fisher, Wit and Folly.
Well, all he had to say was, I don't like this because it doesn't work, and here's why it doesn't work. Not, the theme is when she mentions her identity at the end, you're like, no. Like, what is a theme? Is it just a scene where stuff happens? Because you already described what a scene in a plot is. Is he just using words?
I think he is. Yeah, I think another problem is that he has painted himself into a corner so hard with Mauler and Wolf.
That was a few years ago. I don't remember exactly what.
He said stuff like, you should be more concerned with making stuff that is emotionally resonant than intellectually satisfying.
What? What the fuck?
Here's Lieutenant Colonel Tanya von de Gershoff. Good check, Bucks. Thank you. On the topic of Rey, you've seen Drinker Fixes? No, I haven't. I'm sure he's very popular. He does lots of good stuff. I don't know why you'd want to fix Rey. I mean, obviously people like Star Wars and want to fix things. I've done that with Mass Effect.
I think it was more to make a point than anything.
Yeah, his videos are entertaining. They're not they're not largely descriptive. I like them. They're just not as detailed as I would like.
He's still good at like breaking apart writing.
Oh,
He
yes.
just does it in an entertaining manner.
Exactly. Yeah, it's part intelligence, part fun. And I like that aspect. I would be happy to watch it. I think I've seen one last month. He did one. I can't recall. I don't recall exactly what it was. I missed Tanya. Did I? Was that the one?
You just did. No, I think you just did hers.
Okay. Lady the Shark just popped up. All right. Kylo knew exactly how I felt watching The Rise of Skywalker in the theater when he said, "Ow." Yeah.
Theme.
Is that a theme of the film? Saying "ow"? Pain
Yes.
is real. You learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
Learn from pain.
All right. We got 2 minutes. We can do this.
You can construct your own identity, your own story out of the fragments of what came before. She basically just chooses her own headcanon about who she is.
No, that's not the right term.
Rey has a headcanon about who she is. Oh, yeah. She constructs her own identity. How progressive.
I have the most angry face on. I'm just like, oh, why did you say that just right?
Because Just Right has the intelligence of Patrick Willems. He just has a better vocabulary and presentation style.
So Rey has her own headcanon of her identity. Wow, that's great. Does she sexually identify as Apache attack helicopter too? Why not? She can do all sorts of things.
If she's all the Jedi, you know.
Yeah. Identify as all the Jedi. Of course you do. You're Rey. You're just as powerful as them.
You're God.
Yes, John Lemley, we're almost there. I know. We're getting there. It's just, he says things and you just like, oh, that's not right. Okay, let's go.
Headcanon, if you're unfamiliar, is when fans of a piece of media believe something about its
She's not a
story,
fan.
even if it contradicts the canon, or if there is no evidence to support it. This movie has an interesting relationship with headcanon.
What did you say about?
Is when fans of a piece.
Let's go back. Yeah, it was a little weird.
So so the idea of fan canon or fan head canon is usually it's not really contradicted. It's the idea of there's just no evidence for it. It's something that's not there, but you just make it up. That's fan head canon, and usually the definition isn't if it usually contradicts, because usually there's just nothing there to support it or be against it.
It's just there.
I mean, certain headcanon, certain Maggie May Fish, her headcanon might have a lot of contradictions, but usually it'll be rationalized. Usually. Hopefully. Maybe.
I do find meaning in that idea, that you can construct your own identity, your own story out of the fragments of what came before.
I find meaning in my own imagination. That's fantastic. Thanks so much.
I could just rename myself and give myself a whole new identity by adding Skywalker to the end of your name. Right. That's not making your own identity. That's kind of taking someone else's.
The fact we're taking this seriously is just hurting me. This should be a joke. This entire chapter is a joke. He's trying to tell us that Rey has her own headcanon. What the hell are you talking about, man?
Therefore, you should too, in order to not be so angry.
I know the internal workings of this character's mind. It's like, yes, of course you do. Yes, you go play in the corner with your toy. Okay, go. Yep, you're fine. Just go right over there. Have a good time by yourself. Yep, that's okay. We're good.
Basically just chooses her own headcanon about who she is. Headcanon, if you're unfamiliar, is when fans of a piece of media believe something about its story, even if it contradicts the canon, or if there is no evidence to support it. This movie has an interesting relationship with headcanon, given that it elevates some popular headcanons into actual canon, like bringing Rey and Ben together at the end. Going into this movie, I prepared my own headcanon so that no matter...
Right.
What is he so? What? Were his expectations of his headcanon subverted? Apparently they were. And how is that? Wait a second. Let's take this one step back. Let's go back to episode 7. We have all these theories, right? We have all, who's Snoke? Who are Rey's parents? Yada, yada, yada. Guess what? That's called headcanon. We don't know. We're guessing. The difference is you liked The Last Jedi because it subverted your expectations, but you didn't like episode 9 because it also subverted your expectations in the wrong way.
Another issue is like Game of Thrones community is basically a cottage theory crafting industry. It is full of theories all over the place, from the rational and sane to the crazies.
There's all kinds of ideas with that series because it's gigantic and you can go anywhere. Magic could do it. Magic's coming back. Every book, there's slowly a bit more magic being revealed. Maybe there's some ancient order that's like what is it? Not the fairies, but the
Great Hand or the Children of the Forest.
Children of the Forest. They could be doing things behind the scenes. There's all sorts of wonderful theories. The Lord of Light could be doing something. There's all sorts of elements. The gods are coming back. So,
or even like this person is behind this person's death, or the Order of the Maesters is behind all the follow the Targaryens. So many interesting things. And people have basically made a career out of guessing what is going to happen or guessing what has happened in the frickin' series, because George R. R. Martin wrote the history books in the style of an in-world biased, unknowledgeable narrator.
Yeah, you could do lots of guesswork with that. So, anyway, John Lemley, I just saw headcanon is a social construct. Well, maybe it's maybe it's an individual construct, but I don't know if it's a social It could be, yeah. It's possible. Andrew Clark, thank you, sir. I posted a video in suggestions. Watch second 30 seconds. Okay, well, I'll check it out later. Thank you, sir. Mr. M, the video is the equivalent of having intercourse with a radioactive wood chipper that was set on fire and covered in acidic orphan tears. I don't even know where. I can't even. Yeah,
oh my
that is some serious headcanoning, sir. That is, yeah.
What was it? I was looking at the thing. Like he's talking about Patrick Willems' Kingdom Hearts video.
Wait. Patrick Willems made a Kingdom Hearts video?
It's a collaboration where Just Right explains Kingdom Hearts to Patrick.
Why the hell would anyone ever want to watch that?
I did, because I was just, what are they going to say? This just looks terrible.
That is these guys who could barely pay attention to the actual scenes of a movie are going to try and explain the plot of all of the Kingdom Hearts games? Are you crazy?
Pretty much, yeah.
They can't even get their literary terms defined. How are they going to figure out a plot line of the most convoluted video game series ever?
Apart from Metal Gear Solid.
Well, Hideo Kojima is crazy. He's just not like combining Disney characters with Squaresoft characters with other. It's just like it's a mess. It's a mess of characters and plot threads and God knows what. Yeah, no, it's I played the first game for about a few hours. I thought it was kind of fun. That's about it, and that was good because it didn't get confusing after that. It just sort of it ramps up crazy, and I never got that far. So.
I think all they want us to do is watch the 30 seconds to a minute mark.
Okay, well, we'll get there another time because we gotta finish this one off. Mr. M,
right.
Thank you, sir. The video is equivalent of. Oh, I already wrote that. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was so crazy. I just totally forgot I read that.
Yeah, this is terrible.
All right, we got 2 minutes. Let's do it.
what happened, I wouldn't be too disappointed. If I didn't end up liking it, I haven't lost anything. It's quite easy to do this given how neatly The Last Jedi wrapped things up. All of the character arcs are complete, and in the final shot, a young boy looks up at the sky inspired by the story of Luke Skywalker. It's the perfect ending to the entire Star Wars saga, capturing many of its most essential themes in a single scene.
It's perfect. It's just a perfect ending. The kid, it's just amazing.
Even though that kid, it should be dead.
He should be whipped or something. I don't know.
Even though the rebellion is decimated at the end of the movie, the final shot is pure optimism. In my interpretation of it, it tells us that empires like the First Order are doomed to fail. So long as they reign, there will always be stories about those who resist, and those stories will inspire
the stories don't matter
to rise up against them.
Oh, they get inspired, but that doesn't matter though.
Is restored. You can imagine the specific.
Bunch of kids are inspired. What are they going to do?
You could be inspired as much as you want if you have the ability to actually do something.
How are the kids being?
What's a little fucking kid gonna do? Oh, it's a story. Oh, well, that's gonna really change things, isn't it?
How are the kids being influenced by the First Order? What's like?
At least Luke Skywalker's death. He died for something. He died for a story.
What did the kids ever get influenced by the First Order? Like they've been influenced by these guys, these rich guys and their slaves, but that wasn't not because of the First Order. Why do they hate the First Order? Were their parents killed by the First Order? Because they weren't taken as a child stormtroopers. So are they lucky? Like what's the story with? Like there's no context. Why do they care? They have a bad kind of okay life on this rich planet, which the First Order is left alone because they buy gear from them. Why would the kids be motivated to go anywhere near the First Order? I don't know.
Are you there?
Of that eventual victory any way you like. Conjure up a whole movie in your mind. And for me, it's more
it's amazing. You could do this all in your head. It's like, thank you. That's fantastic. I go to
basically he's wanting to say, write your own fan fiction.
Yeah, I go to the movies so I can have imaginations of what actually happened in my head as opposed to what actually happened in the movie. I don't know, Just Right. I don't know who does this, but I guess you could.
Fun than just being angry about what didn't happen. I've got my headcanon ending. What's yours?
And it's from it's the end of The Last Jedi. It's just like, yep, it ends right there.
Yeah. And then, like,
was he one of those guys on Twitter who said Episode 9 doesn't exist? It ends.
Yep.
Is he one of those guys? Okay. All right. I see where this is going.
I can find his tweet. He literally says, well, at least the last movie in the series is a very satisfying ending.
Yeah, well. Let me see. Is it Skillshare? What is he selling at the end? Maybe he just forgot. Story. That's Skillshare. Yay! Watch these other guys explain the film to me because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Thanks, Just Right. You're fantastic. Amazing.
You know, when I have no idea on what the hell I'm doing with editing because I'm an unknowledgeable piece of shit, I go to Skillshare, and that's why my videos are so well edited.
Oh, God. Well, that wasn't that bad. It was just dumb and completely interpretive. Like unintelligent and interpretive. It's like, thanks.
Maggie May Fish, the prequels would be so better if you look at it through the lens of Obi-Wan fucking Padme.
That's crazy dumb. This is just dumb. This is like, no, wrong. No, you should not invent stuff in your head, guys. That's not the job of the audience, okay?
It's encouraging laziness on the part of the writers to say, oh, my writers will just fill in all of my stuff.
Yeah, a story is not a bunch of building blocks that the audience plays with. It's a film. It's a book. It's a game. It's something that the creator made for a certain reason, for a certain way. And you're not there to go, oh, well, this sucks. it really happened like this in my head, therefore it's an amazing experience. Like, no.
But anyway, you know what this film really needed? It needed Poe and Finn fucking. That's what would have made the film. That's all that was missing from The Rise of Skywalker.
All right, here's a super chat from Skids. Could you respond to Captain Midnight's positive review of Last Jedi video? He even makes pot shots at Mahler on Twitter about making a 2-hour video.
Long man bad.
What is this thing? Captain Midnight.
Never heard of Captain Midnight?
I have heard of Captain Midnight. I've seen like a couple of his videos, but they're mostly like meh.
Did he just come out with this, or this is like a year or two ago?
If you want to watch it, put us in Smud Boys Discord. That's what you do.
If it's there, I'll check it out.
Put it in there. We'll have a look at it. We'll check it out.
We'll vote on it. We'll see if it's good to talk about. If not, then yeah. Thanks for the suggestion, though. You don't have to send a super chat, though. Just go to the Discord, leave a comment or leave a video, and I will copy and paste it over to everyone else if I think it's good size, good topic. People might want to be interested in doing it. Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. John Lemley, any more Maggie May Fish makeup tutorials out there to act as a cleaner? Okay, no. You clean yourself from Maggie May Fish videos, okay? Not the other way around.
I feel dirty after watching a Maggie May Fish video.
Just as like a walk in the park compared to Maggie May, okay?
I feel like I need to wash myself, but even that's not going to clean it all away.
Yeah.
Your soul is violated by her. Is that correct?
It's a combination of intelligence and manners and ethics and sexuality. You just sit there
I fight a lot of clankers and I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
Yeah,
it's just the eyes, I think. It's just the way she looks at the camera. I'm scared.
It's pretty intense. She's an intense character, so
we should watch her RoboCop or
no, we're not watching a Maggie May Fish video for some time. At the very least, I'll accept one a month. I'm not accepting any more than
Shiny,
that.
You don't have to, honestly. You don't have to come to a video you want to do. It's fine. You don't have to.
But it's so funny to watch him yell, "Screw you!"
What else am I gonna do?
Well, no. I can get someone else.
There's nothing else right now. There's nothing else happening in my life.
Really? Still? Okay.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, I know.
University doesn't start till September, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey guys, maybe we'll look at the docket. We see so many of these videos to vote on, but we always like recommendations. So thanks for
check out my channel. I just released D&D animated episode 3. Took me a week to do. Please like my hard work. And then Dunn over there, he does things. He does
live streams and books.
There you go.
There we go.
Today we just did a stream about fan fiction. It was rather chaotic, but some funny things were said. And recently I did a writer's showcase stream where a bunch of people got on and read their stuff, and we had a Q&A. And should be coming out with another book in about 15 days.
Jesus.
7 days. And I'm just hoping that everybody enjoys it.
A writing machine, my friend. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. And thanks for sitting this one through with us. It's been always fun with you guys. Can we watch Gender in Jurassic Park again? No. We're done with that.
That's a strange thing. Since I released my D&D animated episode 3, I lost 2 subscribers. Oh. I went down from 314 to 312.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a great night. Okay.